What is up, everybody? If the stream wants to work, there we go. Hello, friends. Hello. What kind of details? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Just more clarification on it, what we can expect and why stuff is the way it is. How the fuck is everybody doing, by the way? My friends, I am going to Hawaii tomorrow night. So this is the last stream until next Tuesday. And that stream should be a Pantheon stream, I believe. So that will be kind of cool. Pretty excited about it. I think Pantheon's gonna be like fucking dope. So I'm very excited for that. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Sorry, I'm really tired. I've been doing a lot of work. I'm gonna have, I believe, 3 videos coming out over the week for you all, potentially 4. And I've been kind of grinding, but I wanted to get a stream in too. So here we are. Here we fucking are, okay? Check out this insane mountaintop I got. Shiny mountaintop. I got the Impulse. I got Impulse, Vorpal, which I originally wanted. I've been, depending on the activity, I think Frenzy's a really good swap too, because Frenzy's like a permanent, you know, or it's like 15% on everything, whereas Vorpal's only against, you know, bosses. So, I think, for instance, in like Onslaught, Frenzy might work a little better. And then I got the auto loading if I want to do like a boss rotation too. Like, this is pretty good. Reload Masterworks kind of cope, kind of bad. Much would have rather handling on this. I got Implosion, which is better as well. No sticky, unfortunately, but I'm feeling all right about this roll. That's pretty good. Feeling pretty good about this roll. So that's what I've been doing. Today I want to do a couple things. I wanted to make a video ranking all of the Destiny seasons, and I figured, you know what? Let's record it live, and then I'll edit it, and then I'll put it out as well. So we'll do that at some point in the stream. Someone on Reddit made a recap of everything that has been that we know about the final shape, because it's a fucking lot. It's a lot, and there we go. I want to read it and go over it. So I think that could be kind of cool. Maybe some shiny farming. Oh yeah, what the Bungie dev said. Let me find out what she said. It was Katarina, who is the lead of Into the Light. So, autoloading holster Frenzy Stick is my chase roll for utility, perfect for Caretaker. Yeah, like that sort of thing would be really good. Yeah. Okay, let me find her tweet. Katarina. So, she is the project lead for Into the Light? Is that right? Oh, no. Sorry, she was the project lead for... She's one of the project leads, or the project lead for Final Shape. We've seen her in a couple, live streams. But she seems really cool. But she came through. I love this. I feel like I was really worried when you know, all the layoffs happened, and then the Bungie 2 team accounts started just tweeting, like, signing off with Destiny 2 team. I was really worried we were going to lose a lot of that personality and stuff, but what has happened around Into the Light and Final Shape is what instead I'm noticing, and maybe you guys have noticed this as well, that a lot of the people that are actually involved with the process, you know, like some of the leaders or some of the, like for Into the Light, we got Ash and Noah, the actual activity designers, you know, talking about this sort of thing on stream and on Twitter, Katarina. And, you know, so we have like kind of these individual personalities that are really involved. Yo, Sage, thank you so much for the sub. Really involved with these DLCs or these content drops. And I actually think that's really cool. I like that. Hopefully, you know, everyone is really nice to all of them. But I think this is kind of cool, you know, and we're getting like little individual responses. And maybe it's a little harder for like the average person to like keep track of, I suppose, because it's not all in a single spot. But I do really like this. So, yo, Rocky, thank you so much, my friend. So, anyways, she gave a clarification about why the raid. So if you guys don't know, raids for the past 3 years. I'm trying to think like what was the last raid that wasn't like this. Every raid past DSC probably. No, yeah, every raid after Deepstone Crypt, I think. Right, because it would have been Vault of Glass, and then Vow, and then King's Fall. Yo, you gained 200 subs since I last checked? Yeah, man. The channel's been doing really well. The people are liking the videos, and it's awesome because I'm finally at a point where I'm like, man, I want to make videos again, you know, and I've been pumping out a lot of video content, and they've been doing really well. So thank you, everyone, if you're new or if you've been telling your friends. Go watch the bounty prep guide. I've got another prep thing coming out on tomorrow that I think will be really good and people will like as well. Yeah, Garden was the last raid. That was the first week. And then Deepstone was on Saturday too, right? So it would have been Vault of Glass was the first 48-hour Friday raid. Is that right? Tier list, they have to come back. We're gonna be doing one live. We're gonna be doing one live this stream, and then I'm gonna edit it and release it. But yeah, I do want to do more tier lists and top 5 stuff. It's one of those things where it's like they take a lot of work, or you know, and I get in my own head about it. I'm like, oh, no one fucking cares about tier lists, and then they're the most popular videos in the channel history. King's Fall was the first one on Friday, 48 hours. Okay, so for the last year and a half, then, thank you, Paper. Last year and a half, they've always been, you know, DLC or season launches. The following, you know, 10 days later, the raid comes out. Final Shape, it's 3 days later. And I don't mind this, but I know that can be difficult for people to get time off. And, you know, there's a grind that has to occur there and that sort of stuff. But I actually think it's pretty cool. But a lot of people were like, you know, why are they doing this? And so the project lead of Final Shape, Katarina here, she wanted to clarify why they did that. So she says, hey, everyone, I want to talk about why the Final Shape raid is going live shortly after the release on June 7th. We know this is a tight turnaround and wanted to share some context on why we made this decision. Back in August, we said that finishing the campaign would not be the grand finale of the Lightness and Dark saga. You will be facing off against the Witness in the raid, and for non-raiders, there will be an opportunity for everyone to experience the conclusion sometime after the raid. So, once again, this was hinted at by Geo Blackburn in the original Final Shape reveal that we would, in fact, be facing the Witness in the raid, but that wouldn't be the last time we fought the Witness. That there would be, and, you know, he didn't really clarify at the time, but everyone pretty much came to the conclusion that there would be some sort of mission after the raid that would be, like, the actual, like, where you actually kill the Witness. The Final Shape expansion is different. The additional content in the Paleheart post-campaign unlocking the raid for everyone is important to getting a cohesive and satisfying story experience. We're looking at you raiders to be the tip of the spear. This is awesome. This is very reminiscent of Forsaken, where the bulk of post-campaign content was locked until Riven was killed, and then the cycle in the final, or in the Dreaming City began. It seems like we're going to get something pretty similar to that here, which is really awesome. I think that is a great way to do it. And oh man, it's one of these things, like, I think you'll always struggle. And I had a lot of, I was commenting on this on Twitter, and I had a lot of people be like, oh, this is really, you know, like, you're excluding people who don't raid or solo players. And like, yes, but I'm like, this is where this sort of thing where people are like, oh, I can't do this content, or I don't do this content, will always be where I am the most elitist, I think. Where it's like, just because maybe you haven't taken the jump into raid content, or you haven't pushed yourself, or you haven't found a team or whatever, that does not mean that us raiders should experience less hype, or that, you know, we play the game arguably more, and we're doing more in-depth things. I'm not saying we're more important, but this sort of thing definitely makes a lot of sense to help drive the narrative forward. And when you tie this sort of stuff to it, I feel like it's more encouragement for, you know, beginners or less experienced Destiny players to take that jump into raiding content. I think this is really cool. So it's one of those things, like, it's hard to be like, yeah, it's hard to sympathize with people that don't do this content. A lot of times for me, and I have to take a step back, because I feel like I'm really desensitized to it, and I feel like a lot of us are desensitized to it, where it's like, running a raid isn't necessarily, it's not difficult, you know, because we've done everything 100 times and we're leveled and we're really experienced. But taking that initial jump can be really difficult for some people. I just think, I don't know. I hate when people try to make us the bad guys because we have taken that jump, I guess is my point. So that's kind of my perspective. And it's not I wouldn't say it's anywhere near the majority of people that do that, but you see it with bounty prepping too. Like, people are shaming people that bounty prep, and it's like, I'm sorry if you're not competitive with the day one. That's not really my problem. But we're trying to be competitive in the day one, so I'm going to prepare the best I can, and I'm going to help everyone else prepare the best they can. But if that's not for you, it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't try to make us the bad guys because we're doing something we enjoy, and we're being competitive in content that maybe you're not interested in. Like, it's like reverse gatekeeping. It's like, no, you actually can't be too good at the game. You can't do the hardest things, because that's really exclusionary towards us. You know, it's weird. But, like, also, I feel like people who don't raid are underestimating themselves. The content in a 6-man fire team really isn't too difficult at all. That's exactly, like, I totally agree. And I ran into this a lot with, I posted the video on the best way to farm shiny weapons after the changes next week, and it's going to be doing wave 50s. And so many people are like, oh, I just can't do wave 50s. It's too hard. And it's like, it's really not. I don't know. Like, it's not easy. It's like farming 10 is definitely easier, like, being honest. But all you have to do is abuse the meta. It's not, you have 2 warlocks and 1 tether hunter, and you are fine. You will breeze through wave 50s. It is not hard. You just have to, you know, I think that comes down to, like, an experience, a difference in experience, or a difference in motivation to play the meta, or what have you. I feel like it's very similar for raids, and people always ask, like, oh, well, I can't do raids, I don't have people to play with. It's like, there's a Discord server with 700,000 fucking people in it. Like, you can go find people that want to raid without being in a VC, or with being in a VC, or people that are Sherpa. Like, I feel like at this point, I can't find a team to raid is no longer a super valid excuse unless you have, like, some form of social anxiety or something. And that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to sit here and judge anyone for any ailments they might have, or any way they like to approach social situations. Like, that's not my place, and I'd be a pretty shitty person to do that. But if you don't have any of those barriers to entry, and you're interested in doing it, but you just can't find a team, like, I just feel like in year 10 of Destiny, that is no longer a valid excuse. Personally, unless you just want to be mean to people who do raid, I suppose. But, like, I'm not trying to be toxic or anything. I'm just saying, like, being angry at people who do the hardest content in the game will always be very weird to me. I'm not allowed to have an opinion in a lot of people's eyes because I'm a content creator, even though I don't do this for a living, and you know, I don't live off of the income from this. I'm just a regular guy who decides to stream and entertain and make content, you know what I mean? But to a lot of people, I'm not allowed to, my opinions aren't valid because I do that. And I find that's very strange. It's, like I said, it's kind of reverse gatekeeping in a way. And I feel like Destiny is really the only community I've ever seen or been a part of where the most hardcore players, not by everyone, but the most hardcore players, there's a large group of people that really hate on them. And it's in a lot of cases, it's like a lot of people see it as shameful to be a content creator or a raider. You know, you don't even have to be a content creator. You're someone who plays the game a lot. You know what I mean? And I find that very, 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 very strange. I'm pretty sure the main gate is social anxiety. Yeah, sure, and that's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? I'm not, and usually people with social anxiety aren't the people telling me to like kill myself because I know how to raid on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, those are, I'm not really addressing those people, and I hope that they're able to find a way to experience what I consider to be the best parts of the game in a way that's comfortable for them. I truly do. But I'm addressing like a whole different part of the community, right? So so that's just kind of how I see the whole thing, personally. But I think this is awesome. Anytime like you have these events that really bolster to top end players or players that play a lot of the game, I feel like it always has turned out really well for Destiny. Your Niobe Labs, Corridors of Time, your day one raids are some of the most popular days of Destiny, period. If you look across like Twitter, Twitch, YouTube analytics, think the amount of free marketing for the game on those days and the amount of free hype and everything in those days is unmatched. And I feel like that is the events and the stuff catering to more hardcore players, like Into the Light, like what we've seen for Final Shape, all of this stuff, Forsaken, Witch Queen, all of these campaigns and experiences that are more catered towards people that play more of the game and do harder content, I feel like has always turned out better from every statistical measurement that I can see than the things that are supposed to be catered more towards the more casual players or the less experienced players, like New Light. Didn't really do that well. I mean, there was an initial bump and then there's a huge fall off, right? And then you have things like Destiny 2 is really catered towards more casual people, and you know, and there's been smaller content drops here or there, and it's just I just find it weird that the Destiny community has formed that the way it has, that sort of stuff. Do you remember the Dave video? The Dave video? I don't think I do remember the Dave video. Can you send me like a screenshot or the link or whatever? I will remember it if I can see it. The only other community I can see is the COD Zombies community. I've been part of the COD Zombies community for a long time. In terms of just like being aware. Like the Zombies community is why I do content. 100%. I just never remember people being like toxic towards, like, there was some instances of like plagiarism and stuff from some of the big content, or a big content creator, and like, yeah, there's hate that way, but like, I don't remember like Noah J ever getting hate because he was good at the game, you know what I mean? But there's people that like genuinely like fucking hate Salty Gecko because, you know, he has opinions and he's good at the game, and so. That day video, yes, I do. Sorry. I do remember that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like this anti-hardcore community is a lot more perpetuated than it was about 10 years ago, but maybe I'm just not remembering it correctly. I do think that it has been, I think in the last like I feel like there's a direct correlation to Redeem not being as popular and Elysium being more popular, and then the hate that I catch. Yeah, I feel like and this is correlation and causation bullshit, you know, whatever, but in my head, as Elysium was getting better and better and better, that's when I started receiving more hate as an endgame player. So that's very anecdotal, but I do feel like, you know, to 2.5 years ago is really when that started taking off. It wasn't prevalent during quarters of time or anything. But I say like, yeah, Witch Queen, that's when people were like, no, actually like fuck streamers. And it's like, what? That's a wild take, man. I don't know. And everyone's always like, oh, the game is so catered towards streamers. Like the last 2 years, there has absolutely not been catered towards streamers. Like, let's get one thing absolutely fucking clear, okay? If the game was catered towards streamers, we would have a fucking live event every goddamn week, because that's what streamers want, because that's what makes our analytics explode. When it comes to nerfs and stuff, I'm pretty sure a sizable part of the community does not understand how nerfs and buffs work. Yes. A big agree. As someone with social anxiety when it comes to raid, I can fully say most of us want to raid, but it is what it is. No, I totally understand that. Once again, I'm not trying to address that part of the community at all. It's something I'm lucky that I have never really had to deal with, and it's something that I try to empathize with as much as possible, even though I don't really have that sort of experience. And I would never, I'm never going to shame someone for not being comfortable in certain situations. Like that would, once again, that would make me like a huge asshole. And I try to be a decent human being and try to understand where a lot of people are coming from, especially with that sort of stuff. If it's something that you can't really control, or maybe the environment you were raised in or something, you never really got experience with that sort of thing. Like I totally get it, man. And I would never sit here and shame people with social anxiety at all. No way. They hate Salt because he himself went to the Bungie HQ and edited the code in the game to nerf div. I mean, that's fair. How many people like back during Cold War, Noah J, Dalek, and Waffle Waffles got attacked pretty heavily for not wanting the Easter eggs to be easier? Oh, really? I actually didn't know that. I do remember doing all the Cold War Easter eggs, like, because they're pretty spelled out, right? Like, they're like, do this, do this, do this. And there's some steps that are a little weird, but I mean, they're not Black Ops 4 Easter eggs, right? They're not Black Ops 3 Easter eggs. That's interesting. I don't know. I find it so weird that, like, so much of these communities don't want to, like, be better. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's everyone, and it's definitely not everyone, but I have such, like, an internal mental thing where it's like, oh, I just need to get better. I need to get better. I'm not good enough. I need to get better at pretty much everything I do. And I find it so interesting that, and it's a video, it's not, I can, it's a video game, Scarrow. It's not that fucking serious. You know what I mean? Like, sure, yeah, I get it. But it's just like, that's just like my character. It's why I went for the PhD. It's why I do everything. It's why I have 100 fucking hobbies. You know what I mean? Because I always just want anything that I'm interested in, I want to be very good at. And I find it interesting that is not a mentality that is shared by a lot of people. I wish I could have watched you play zombies. I've streamed a bit of zombies, and I do, like, with the Black Ops Korean War or whatever, the next Black Ops is coming out this year. Especially if it's like interesting round-based Easter egg type content, I will be playing it. I will be streaming it. It's just, by the time I got really comfortable streaming and playing stuff to the point where it's like, oh, I would be comfortable crossing communities to try some zombie stuff as well, it was like Cold War, Vanguard, MWZ, and it's like, I do all the Easter eggs still. I have all the mastery camos. Like, I play the shit out of it. It's just like, it's not really what interests me as much. There's not as much content in, like, Modern Warfare Zombies, you know what I mean? I really want that core Black Ops Zombies, BO3, BO4 Zombies to come back. That's what I'm really passionate about, and that's what I would love to create content around and entertain about and help people through that sort of stuff. So, yeah. So, it feels like top players hate the way people enjoy playing the game, which is annoying at times. I really hope I've never given that, like, I feel like the only time that you could say that about me is, like, if I, like, match make something and someone's using a ridiculous build and I'm like, why the fuck are you using that? You know what I mean? But that's like, most of the time I'm just fucking around with that. I hope I don't really give that. I don't really care how you guys play the game, to be honest. I try to push people to do harder content and to, I'm interested in doing harder content and being a completionist, and that's what a lot of my content is centered around. And I'll always encourage people to do that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, as long as you're having fun, I don't really care, to be honest. So, I think the reason communities like this is because Destiny is such a casually friendly game with such a large endgame community, and because of that, the communities like oil and water. It is pretty interesting because there's so much content in both spectrums now, right? Destiny has just become a monster. Like, I was thinking about this because, like I said, we're gonna rank all the seasons today on stream. I already have the tier list up, and I was going through and I was making little notes about all the seasons, and I was like, holy shit, dude! Some of these seasons were bad. Like, some of these initial seasons that people love, Season of the Drifter, it's like, god damn, this was bad. It is just it was just a dark time for players like a lot of us, so it is what it is. Did you play the Extraction Zombie mode? Yeah, it's called MWZ. I have the mastery camos, I've done all the Easter eggs and stuff. I played the heck out of it. Originally, I really wanted to cover a lot of that on stream, and I think I did a couple streams waiting for Destiny updates and stuff. But the just not as many Easter egg quests and stuff, and it's not really a game that I'm interested in grinding on stream. It's just I throw it on and I play with my buds, you know. So, Tanic Abomination is a representation of Destiny. The only thing I care about when it comes to randoms is if they quite literally throw the entire activity. I completely agree with that. I joined the activity to beat / enjoy it, not carry someone. Yeah, I feel that. I get that. Hey, watch it. Drifter had Gambit Prime. We're going to talk about this, but Gambit Prime is not my favorite. So, side note, who you got in the Stanley Cup playoffs? I would want either Nashville or Florida to win. But I think the Avs are going to take it. But we'll see. Dude, the fucking Maple Leafs got destroyed last night. That was pretty funny. So. Sorry, let me, when the raid day arrives, no matter if you choose to go for the contest mode in the first 48 hours or wait for the normal mode to unlock, in order to experience the story linearly and as intended, you need to have the campaign completed and finish the quest wild card. Prioritize those. So what's really interesting here is, you know, with the final Forsaken, with Last Wish, it was as soon as Redeem beats that raid, I believe the cycle started immediately. Everyone got a cutscene when you logged in. And I think it was the same for Beyond Light, for Deepstone Crypt. I think, yeah, it did, because people got Lament and then went back in. So, like, I find that really interesting. The fact that here it's different. I'm really wondering if they're going to make you wait until reset to experience that final quest or end of the mission or whatever. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, obviously, but I find that really interesting. And then episode Echo's story, the beginning of the next journey. Oh no, actually, I take it back. Because there's no way they would start the episode at the same time that we finally kill the witness. So I totally disagree with what I just said. It'll almost certainly be available immediately as soon as the raid is beaten. So you have time over the weekend and on Monday to do that final mission, finish the quest, before going straight into Chapter 1. Why? I'm really stressed out having Chapter 1 launch that close. That's a lot of fucking content. That's crazy. So, yeah, I think the Tuesday after raid launch will be episode 1 launch. Yeah, that's what it says right there. Starts in week 2. I find that crazy, actually. So, I really like that it's a really fast streamline of content. I'm just a little stressed out. So, we'll see what that looks like. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited for this. Like I said, I leave for Hawaii tomorrow. I get back next Tuesday, and then we have Pantheon for 4 weeks. We have more shiny grinding stuff, and then we're at final shape. That's it. You know what I mean? Like we're 6 weeks away from the final shape right now. Between bounty prep, shiny grinding, and Pantheon, I mean, this shit's gonna fucking, we are there. It is, this last month is going to fly. And we're still gonna get twabs and of more final shape information. We might get a trailer for episode 1 at some point. Episodes will be more story-based. Yeah, they specifically said episodes will be more cinematic. So, like, they'll have more cutscenes and stuff, for sure. So, yeah, I know, it's only 6 weeks away. This fucking Into the Light's been insane. Like, what a and we're gonna, I included it on the tier list as a season, even though it's technically not. Into the Light has been a perfect content drop. It has done exactly what I said they needed to do and what they needed it to do in terms of not only delivering and get people back into Destiny, but building that hype and getting people, like, having people remember why they really enjoy Destiny and what they're really excited about. What's your biggest hope for the Final Shape campaign? For the campaign, I want a plot twist that I just didn't see coming. I want to be genuinely surprised. I feel like that was the biggest difference. Like the Witch Queen campaign had like a couple like bomb drop moments, I think. Lightfall was like literally the most telegraphed bullshit ever, and so I really want to. I think good stories are unpredictable. And they're enticing, and I think more than anything, for the campaign specifically, people like myself who have read the lore, Entelemy, I think it was called, all of that sort of stuff about the Witness, we're really sold on the Witness. Most people do not do that, and the Witness is just some normie. And I really hope the campaign in-game sets up and sells the Witness as a force, as a very, very like psychotic, sadistic, enticing bad guy. So remember the whole production timeline presentation Bungie did, and there's a project that was supposed to be developed in the same time as the Final Shape between season DLC. Do you think that was Echoes? No. If you pull that up, the Final Shape had 4 seasons, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Destiny timeline leak GDC. Is that gonna pull up? Yeah. So if we look at this, the Final Shape had... No, that's this season. We're in 24 right now. Okay, maybe not. No, wait. Yeah, we're in 23 right now, right? No, I don't think so. I think an episode would be a smaller season. And honestly, back then when this leaked, I don't even think episodes were like in the fucking cards yet, to be honest. This is, I mean, look, it's either the next yearly thing that they're going to do or Destiny 3. If it's even still accurate. I mean, this came out like in 2021. You know what I mean? So I would pay no mind to that development chart. I think it has changed a lot. So I want a definitive ending to this saga. I mean, you'll get a definitive ending to the Witness. Oh, it's Lab. Yeah, that's Lab. Lab's being produced. So, I would have loved to fight big baddies like Shivu in the raid. I have now been pilled. I don't think we'll fight Shivu until Heresy. No, I don't think Redacted is a 10th anniversary thing. We're not... As far as I'm concerned, we're not getting a 10th anniversary thing. Lightfall, Into the Light, or Final Shape, sorry, Into the Light, Into the Final Shape is our 10th anniversary thing. I truly, truly, truly do not think we will get anything for the proper 10th anniversary of Destiny. And I'll go further than that. I don't think we should. I am so sick of regurgitated content when it comes to, like, just not be... I don't care if things are reskins. It's fun to grind. I've been having a lot of fucking fun re-grinding all of these weapons, Mountaintop and Edge Trans and shit. I think it's cool. But I am ready to be surprised and delighted and experience new stuff, okay? am so sick of nostalgia bait. As a person who is not a very nostalgic person, I'm very sick of nostalgia bait, and it just doesn't really do the same thing for me. And I'm enjoying the content for what it is. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not like angry about it, but man, I do not want a 10th anniversary event. I'm so over celebrating the history of Destiny. You know what I mean? Give me new shit, please. Please. So, for the time being, the witness is kind of boring, just a cold, boring face for some deep philosophy, and I don't really care about. Yeah, so like I feel like that's what most of the community feels like. Because the thing is there's like two types of bad guys, right? There's like the relatable bad, your handsome jacks, your relatable bad guys that think they're the good guy, and you can kind of see why they think that, and they're more relatable. And then you just have like evil asshole. So you have like handsome Jack versus like Thanos, you know, and some people will be like, oh, Thanos was right or whatever. But like, come on, Thanos was meant to be just like an objectively bad person thing, right? And it's like the witness is much closer to Thanos, but none of those motivations have been spelled out in game, right? It's just in game, all we know is Traveler left it, he's an angry, or the witness is an angry little bitch, and it's just killing everything. Outside of the game, in these lore books, and these weapon tabs, we have very rich lore about the witness and its motivations and the implications of that. And that's really exciting, but none of that has been communicated to the larger audience. So it's like, it's just, the witness is just some rando that is really angry and really powerful, you know? So the lore has been very good for the witness, once again, outside of the game. And so for Final Shape, I really want them to put that into the game. The witness is coming. That's so good. So, but yeah. That would be wild if Luke Smith and Mount... I made that fucking tweet, by the way. I think it might be my... I don't know how to look up your most popular tweets of all time, but that Luke Smith one is easily, like... I would be surprised if it's not my most popular tweet of all time. And I meant it as a complete tongue-in-cheek fucking joke. I didn't even mean it. It was like, it's a very... I was channeling my inner ATP, by the way. By the fucking way. Tell me this expansion graphic. This is our day one team. Tell me that doesn't go hard, okay? Tell me that doesn't go hard. I want to tell you guys a couple of things. I pulled some trickery to make this, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. But we'll talk about this here in a second. Let me find... Okay. 3.2 thousand likes, dog. Anyway, it's a complete fucking joke. I didn't mean this. Of course it's not going to happen. June 8th, 3 a.m. Eastern time. So, you know, 13 hours after the raid launches. The first team finally clears the Final Shape raid. Servers shut off and reboot. Screens go black. Simultaneously, everyone gets pulled into a cutscene. Hi, I'm Luke Smith, and I'm here to tell you about Destiny 3. Like my most popular tweet of all time, and it's just like the dumbest shit. I need to just start tweeting stupid shit. Graphic design is my passion. Dude, this is pretty good. That's a ball. I think this is pretty good. Anyways, what I did, this is pretty, I think, kind of clever. So let me pull up the raw file here. This is cool. I think it's cool, okay? Here we go. So, the thing I had to do is the original picture of the witness Destiny, is actually, I think this is kind of clever, personally. It's actually the witness's back. There's no picture of the witness standing here, arms wide open. Just the witness's back. So that's actually this picture that I cut the witness out of. So I cut the witness here. So that's this. This is the start of the picture, right? That's the witness's back. So I cut the witness out. I wanted it to be a little bigger, so I cut it out and I pasted his fucking head on the body. So those are actually the back of the hands. You can barely even tell, dude. Redid the background. I had to redo. I had to cut a lot of stuff out and like. You see? And then even the witness, like this picture is actually spliced together, right? You can see the weird joint in the middle. Because I wanted it really zoomed in on the witness. Come on, that's pretty fucking good. So this is actually the witness's ass right here. And these are the back of the witness's hands. But I think it turned out super good. This is probably my favorite raid, second favorite raid announcement of all time. My favorite raid announcement's the Crota one. I mean, this one just fucking goes so hard. It's because Crota, ended up being Crota, and so everyone was like, oh, it'll be Scourge, oh, it'll be Axis, oh, it'll be Leviathan, and so I wanted to throw little Easter eggs of the other raids. It wasn't. I have a lot of fun with these, okay? I don't even care. But I was really happy with how this turned out. I think it's fun. I love the final shape colors, the neon blue and the orange. And I wanted to throw some prismatic stuff in there, so I made the raid belt prismatic. I think that turned out super good. I think that turned out sick. And then I threw some little stuff there too. But Emperor of the Machine, yeah. So we made it the title. So our raid team is always blank with legs every time. And we wanted the title to be every raid that it could be. So Crota Prime, so that's Crota and Insurrection Prime. And then Emperor of the Machine, so Emperor Callus and Wrath of the Machine Axis. So I wanted it to be we always settle on the team name, and then I kind of take the graphic charge. But I'm really happy with how these turned out. I'm just saying. So I think that's really great. The King's Fall announcement goes hard. Let me pull that up. I think I got that. The King's Fall announcement was really good as well. That was on a different computer, so I don't have like all the work for it. But let me pull it up real quick. I just have so much fun with these, man. You know, I'm just being silly. Okay, yeah, the King's Fall one is fucking peak, actually. So same thing for King's Fall. We didn't know if it was going to be Crota or Axis or Oryx. So Oryx, Archon Prime, son of Crota, and we wanted to do that. So that's really stupid because Crota is the son of Oryx, but we didn't want to do Oryx, son of Oryx, so it looked really dumb. So we did son of Crota, just to be silly. And yeah, it's Oryx with Axis's legs holding Crota's sword. Like just silly shit, man. I just try to have fun with these, you know. Pretty happy with how that turned out. But I just like to have fun, you know? I think all of our last ones have been really good. My first couple were like, I didn't really take it too seriously at the time. So like this was our very first one. It's like, it's kind of boring. I mean, come on. I just peaked the saturation for the Vault of Glass one. This is my least favorite one because in the picture, Savathun has her arms down by her side, and I really wanted her to be holding out. So I took a Thrall arm, but I should have taken more time and matched the color. I could have taken this texture and made it look a lot better. And then it started getting peak. You had King's Fall. Oh, this one's so good. You have me, my name's scratched out for digs, and I'm holding my PhD. Hoon did that, actually. And then, yeah, you got the Crota one. And then you got the Witness one. I really love... The color scheme of this one's peak. So, I had a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun with those. Personally. So, yeah, man. Have I ever showed you my raid graphic? No. Let's see it. Pantheon is such a good name. Yeah, you're welcome. Your raid team members change each raid. How do you guys decide who's in the team each raid? So we try to keep it as consistent as possible, actually. So we have changed. We usually change 2 people, and it's just kind of worked out like that. But it's normally like people like want to do it with someone else, or I don't think we've ever explicitly kicked anyone off of the team because we really haven't. I mean, our placements have been fucking awesome. Like Like, I saw some dipshit was like, because I was like, we're going for worlds first, and he's like, I'll see you in the triple digits. But it's like, what my raid team, since we started trying, has not had a triple digit placement. Period. I did my PhD this day, so that doesn't count. But, you know, Vault of Glass was our first real one, 15th. Vow of the Disciple, 30th. King's Fall, 15th. PhD, 62 on Crota. Crota should have been better, like, to be clear. But it's just like, bruh, our placements are fucking good. I want a top 10. We were 9th regular Vault of Glass, but I want a real top 10. I want a peak fucking top 10. But yeah, we've never like really look at all the fucking Roots of Nightmare I've soloed, bro. Jesus Christ. Oh, fucking hell. I spent way too much time in that raid. Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of our team. We've never kicked anyone out. And I think there are instances like in Vault of Glass, there's definitely like one thing that cost us the top 10. In Vow, a couple silly mistakes throughout, and the waffle incident. Eclipse the waffle incident. King's Fall, there was once again a single mistake that I think cost us the top 10. Root, I was the single mistake, which was pursuing a PhD and then scheduling my final defense on the day it launched. I'm an idiot. My bad. Crota's End, I wouldn't say it was a single mistake. I think there was a series of mistakes that we made on Crota that I'm not really too happy with, but even 62 is like a pretty goated placement, so I'm happy with it. So I want a top 10. I'm really happy with our team. I think we have an absolutely fucking goated team for this next one, and I'm pretty excited. So what's the waffle incident? We got to fucking, so no one had beaten the raid yet at all. We were 6 hours in, maybe a little over 6 hours in. No one had beaten the raid. We finally get to roll, and Eclipse takes 15 minutes to go heat up and eat some waffles, dude. Maybe 15 is definitely an exaggeration. It was probably like 7 or 8, but I was losing my mind. So pretty happy. And once again, this my metric is always like if I'm happy with our raid placement or not, always like the first thing I check is how did we place compared to Dado. That's always like my first bam. It's just a good check, you know. And Chemo and I are, I believe, the only math class members to ever place better than Dado, and we've done it twice. Fun fact. So not saying, I mean, Dado's team could kick our ass. I think we're about even with Dado's team, actually. I feel really confident in saying that. But you know, I think we each have our strengths and our weaknesses in different ways. But they're a goated team, and that's why I like to compare ourselves to them, because I think they're a good benchmark for us. Not a fact? Who's the other one? Who's the other one, Toes? Give me the other one right now. I'd be fuming. Dude, we can pull up the VOD of the waffle incident. Who's the other one, Toes? I need it right now. There's plenty? That's fake news. Pull them up. I need the raid reports. I've done a deep dive on this, and I have not been able to find anyone. Open up all the day ones. Oh, fucking hell. So I think the two that we did better was Crota, because I think you guys placed really high on Crota. And then the other one would have been Root, I didn't do, and Vogue. So those are two. I mean, you guys placed second, so no one did better. No one did better. I guess I wasn't, I might not be accounting for Root of Nightmares in there. Scourge Spire? Dog, those rates don't even fucking count. Are you serious?
We've woken the hive.
Those are raid layers, actually. Actually. 11's fucking goated, by the way. Although, Snurv got 4th, so maybe not goated. Love you, Surf. I'm just giving you a hard time. You guys have so many 2s, it is insane, by the way. 3 2. Oh, 2 2. I thought you had 3 2s. Oh, I just made that up. My bad. But imagine Dado ending his Destiny career without any day ones first. It'd be crazy. The reality is it gets harder and harder and harder to get worlds first the longer you go, right? Like, people are so good at the game now, and there are so many people going for it and competing. It is like, if you think back to how long it took people to clear like all of these original raids, I think like the big one for me would be like King's Fall or Leviathan. It just wouldn't even be close nowadays. Or even you know, if Last Wish came out today, you know, let's say like everyone's memory was wiped of Last Wish, and all we're accounting for is the increase in player skill between, and we're not even talking about increased loadouts or anything. We're talking about like the amount of people that play on PC has increased, and the amount of player skill and like dedication to the game has increased. I mean, dozens of teams would clear Last Wish day one. I'm like super confident of that. Just you take today's players and you drop them in that environment. You have so many more people that are serious and good about the game than back then. It just wouldn't even be close, dude. Oh, sure, Toes. I was just joking around, man. This isn't, it's not even like a, I didn't really mean anything about it. Sorry about that, buddy. Jack, hey Scaro. Been a while since I caught a stream. Been working my career quite a bit. Hey, nice. And doing a lot of international travel, so I've been focused on Destiny. Hey, there's nothing wrong with focusing on real life, for sure, man. I'd like to do a day one, but I suck at rates. No, it's like, I think any time is a good time to jump in, brother. I don't even think it's like, I think it's less important to be like how good you are at the game or rating on day ones, and it's more about finding a team that you work well with and you have similar expectations to. I think the biggest thing that kills day one raids is you join like a group of people and like you want to go for it, and like, you know, they just want to try a couple times, and you're not really, you know, the same amount of interest. You don't have the same expectations or interests. That's like, I think that's the number one, like the worst thing you could do. So how long would Vault of Glass take to solve now? That's the question. That's such a hard thing to say, right? Because the whole thing about Vault that was hard was nothing like that had ever been done before in an FPS. So, yeah. I would like, look, if a raid, I think if you want a raid that is as complex as Vault of Glass 1, if it dropped today, Root of Nightmares is probably your best comparison. Root's a little shorter though, has fewer encounters, and less filler, but I think it would take like, you know what I mean. But that's not why people like Vault. That's not what was hard about Vault. If they, imagine if they dropped fucking Last Wish as the first raid in Destiny, like, it would have taken a year. So, cat content. I posted a very cute picture of Shadow on Twitter yesterday. And people always want more Shadow content, so I try to. Oh my god, dude, she's so precious. Fucking look at this brat, dude. Such a brat. Loves hiding under boxes. But yeah, man. Day one's my mom's memorial service. Oh, I'm really sorry, man. Yeah, real life always comes first. Like, you know, obviously, stay in that moment, and I'm really sorry for your loss, my friend. If you had control over the game, where would you take the game / gameplay? That I am not the person to ask about this, brother. I just like to sit here and play what Bungie does. I like things to be as complex and shit as possible, but that's not. It's obviously like a bad direction for everything. So my opinions for the game and the gameplay are not in the interest of like probably the highest variety, the most people that play the game. So. Yeah, man. Sorry, maybe a bit weird to say. No, please never apologize. Board Gang merch guarantees world's first. Yeah. All the streamers complain about the raid day. I find it super interesting, like how many people have conflicts with that time. Like obviously there's a delay and stuff, but and if it's like 1 or 2 teams, like I'd get it. But I've seen like 10 streamers or like teams that are like fairly competitive, and it's like, oh yeah, we can't do the day one, and it's because someone had this or this. And once again, the delay's weird, but it's like, man, everyone had something scheduled for that weekend. That's crazy. But I'm sure like it'll work out for most teams, right? So I can tell work. I just need those 3 days off. It's unfortunate that most people can't just do that though, right? Like it's a nice situation to be in. I'm in that situation myself, but like when I was in grad school, it was hard for me I had to wiggle around, and I had to make compromises and stuff, working extra on weekends and shit. So it's how it goes, man. Anyways, I want to rank all of the seasons. People are gonna hate my ratings, but this is how we go, okay? So the rules here are, I'm not doing any expansions, and I'm not doing any essentially this is in order. We're gonna go chronologically, and I'm starting with Black Armory. So no Destiny 1, no base games, no expansions, including Warmind, Curse of Osiris. Even those were kind of seasons. Like obviously season 1 through 4 was like vanilla, Curse, Warminds, Forsaken. It's like, it's not really fair. So I want to look at like pure seasonal content. A couple more rules. I'm going to try my best to separate seasonal content with ones that came with expansions. So like Season of the Hunt, separate it from Beyond Light as best as I can, even though that's a very difficult thing to do, but we're going to do that. And I'm considering the season to be the time frame. So I do not care if a raid was free and is technically not part of a season. Vault of Glass is part of Season of the Splicer, as far as I'm concerned, because for me, it is impossible to separate the enjoyment that like that raid and farming and that sort of stuff brought me during that time. And it's kind of the same as well for the Dungeon Pass. Even though the Dungeon Pass is technically not part of the season and like an additional purchasing thing, I consider it to be part of the season for this purpose. Because once again, in my head, like my enjoyment of this period of time is pretty hard to separate. So yeah, I want to make this a video. Yeah. So can we get a link to the tier list? Yeah. How do I do that? Do I just copy this and give it to you? Are people gonna be able to edit this as I use it here? Are expansion rates part of the expansion then, or the season? The expansion. The expansion. It's easier for me to separate expansions from their respective seasons, because expansions tend to be like the first week or two, right? And then seasons are everything that happens after. So that's a little bit easier to separate. Okay. The first one, Black Armory. So, or Season of the Forge. Forges, I think are way overhyped. I'm not a big fan of Forges. I think they're really quite boring in retrospect. The story, this is before seasons were really, and I'm not putting this in B. I just don't want to click it around. This is before seasons were like really story driven. So yeah, but things that this season did really well. Weapon farming was obviously like, this is where weapon farming started to come into its own. I don't think it was the best version of weapon farming, but it definitely set a bar. Scourge of the Past, insane raid, right? Would love to see it return. Izanagi's Burden and Anarchy in this season, pretty insane. And then I think the thing that really sets this season apart is Niobe Labs, right? So I think Scourge of the Past, Niobe Labs, and weapon farming were like the big parts of this season. Cool aesthetic, but in terms of like if Black Armory came out today, how would people receive it? And that's kind of, I'm trying to think about all seasons, not necessarily as they were seen at the time, but in retrospect, how I see them, I guess. I don't know if that's fair or not, but that's how I want to rank it. So I think like a low A or a high B. What do we think? What do we think about that? The link's in chat already, right above you. Low A or high B? I'm thinking high B, but I reserve the right to move it around. Or I'll give it a low A. I'll give it a low A for now. I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of rose-tinted glasses when it comes to this one. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it more. Season of the Drifter, I don't even give a fuck, is an F. I am a certified hater of the season. I don't like Gambit. I think Gambit Prime was the most tedious, worst version of this. Mostly because it was paired with Reckoning, which I think Reckoning is easily the least enjoyable seasonal content they have ever made, period. The only redeeming thing about this season was 0 Hour. That's it. 0 Hour is sick. Maybe out of respect for 0 Hour, I'll put it D-, low D. Everything else about this season, the Allegiance quest never went anywhere. Reckoning, hated it. The story of the 9, do this random patrol zone, stand here while the 9 talk to you. Hated it. It was, none of the weapons were really that interesting. Easily like my least favorite title to ever grind out. It was bad. There was like one good cutscene, and that's the one with the card game or whatever. That was kind of cool. I'll give it that. But not. I'll put it D-. I'll put it low D. Opulence. I love me some opulence. High A, low S. I'll be more generous so people are nicer to me in the comments. I'll give this a low S. I'd say top 5-ish seasons of all time. Menagerie is very good. I do think Menagerie was a little overhyped, but in retrospect, but I think for the time really transformed the game. And still today, if Menagerie came out, I'd be pretty happy with it. Opulence had the Tribute Hall. It had Crown of Sorrow. It had the other side quest. It didn't really have too much story content. There's a couple here and there, but it's mostly like run around this patrol zone, find this teleporter, like that sort of stuff. But like, man, Opulence, it kind of killed, man. Also, Opulence had the best Solstice of Heroes 2019, which had the coolest armor and the best grind out of any of the Solstice, in my opinion. So while I do think Menagerie was a little overrated, I think everything else in this season was pretty peak. And I came with the Shadow title, which is my favorite title up until Godslayer. And it definitely, like, I butchered that word. Definitely, like, the title I had the most fun getting, for sure. So, I think Opulence is an easy high A, low S tier, for sure. For sure. I don't think it's even, like, I don't really think that's up for debate. Like, I think, you could share a lot of opinions about Drifter. This one's definitely, like, my controversial pick of the video. But, I don't care. Undying. Do we even have to talk about Undying? Vex Offensive was awful. The weapons were awful. The armor was kind of cool. The final mission was bad. Did anything else even happen? I think Undying's just like an easy F, right? Like, it was just, there's nothing redeeming about Undying. I can't name a single, other than the armor being kind of cool, I can't think of a single thing that Undying did correctly. Vex Offensive was so bad. I mean, it's better than the Reckoning, but it's so bad. At least it was balanced. It was so bad. Season of the Dawn. So no raid, but this is where story-driven seasons really started, right? And I think it's like, there was story in Opulence, and there's a little bit in Drifter, but I feel like Dawn is where it really solidified, and the model started being like really good. No, it's S tier, man. It's easy S tier. Is it better than Opulence? I don't know, but you had Corridors of Time, and you had Empyrean Foundation. You had some of the most iconic weapons of all time. You had Sundial, which was like our first Menagerie Light, and I feel like Sundial had a great focusing system. The story was great, but there was no Endgame. That's the only thing. Yeah, no dungeon, no raid. But hardcore players were solving puzzles. They were farming out weapons. There was stuff to do. Empyrean Foundation was crazy. You know what I mean? It is definitely better than Black Armory. Even though Black Armory had Scourge of the Past, I would personally rather have, what is it? It's not even letting me put it there. I would personally rather have Corridors of Time and Empyrean Foundation than Scourge of the Past. I think, personally. I mean, two hardcore, really awesome events. I'm a little biased because those are both great from like content perspectives. I hit 50,000 subscribers this season. So I think that's where I'm going to put it. I don't know. I don't think it's better than Opulence. But it's definitely better than Black Armory. Bastion was kind of cool. First wave frame. Oh man, those weapons were so good. I just remember having no endgame to do. This is where I did Max Triumphs. I believe this is also where I started doing Max Triumphs. So, okay, Worthy. Worthy... like horrendous seasonal event with the Seraph Towers. The bunkers were cool. I liked this was like the start of the upgrade thing, right? There was a little bit of that in Dawn, but I feel like this is where the upgrade thing really started. End of season quest was really bugged. The Almighty event was cool. I wish they would do more stuff like that. It was pretty buggy and maybe didn't go as they wanted it, but I thought it was really cool. A hype community event. I'm thinking low B, high C. Fellwinter's Quest, yeah, pretty disappointing. I love the foreshadowing of the pyramid ships, though. GMs were this season? Were GMs this season? GMs were a W. The Door. Yeah. Warmind cells were this season. That's a good point. Warmind cells were pretty goated. I'm going to give it... The seasonal content sucked. The quality of life stuff was cool. And Trials, yeah. That's right. Trials came back too. I'm going to say low B. Do we think low B? Very, very low B. As low B as you can get without being a C. That's where I'm going to go. It is perfectly on that line between B and C. I think. I reserve the right to move these around. Yeah, it was really bad while we were there, but I feel like it had implications going forward that were really good. Also, the most popular time in channel's history. This is like, so I'm a little biased, but yeah, it's just the definition of a mid-season. I totally agree with that. It should have its own tier between the two, just called Worthy. You know what? I like that idea. Yeah, I'll give you that. That's fine. I'll give you that. That's good. Arrivals. Okay. Arrivals. Surprise drop of prophecy. Great. The end of Arrivals. All of the farmable raids for like spiky armor. Great. And exotics, I think, too. Really, really, really awesome. Arrivals was really cool. Seasonal event might be unpopular opinion. I did not like. I do not think there's ever been a public event, seasonal event that I have liked. So I think that's definitely a low part of the season. The finale was really cool. Once again, another live event. Bungie do more of those, where you're sitting in the tower and you watch like the Traveler explode. But also the in-season justification for the DCV, which is like cringe. I think B. I think B's a really solid place for arrivals. Maybe low A or B. Definitely worse than Black Armory, though. First Great Dungeon? No. I don't agree with that. I think Shattered Throne's better than Prophecy. I'm a Shattered Throne lover, though. Prophecy's fine. I think it gets really tedious. Prophecy is where dungeons really started having this problem, and it's a reoccurring issue with dungeons, even to this day, with the exception of Warlords, because that's great. Dungeons really have this pacing issue where they're like super short encounter, super long encounter, super zoomy thing, super long encounter, and like Prophecy really started that with like a first boss, bam, second encounter that's like makes me want to pull my teeth out, all that wasteland nonsense. Rainbow Road's cool with a 45-second respawn timer. Final boss is cool, so it's like, ding, 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 ding. You know, that's like dungeons always do that. Start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. They have awful pacing issues all the way across the board. Shadow Throne doesn't really have that issue. That's why I like it. So the story content was kind of mid in Arrivals. I'm happy with a B for Arrivals. But this is also, I think, one thing that we need to consider for Arrivals too. This is where exotics started to change. Where up to this point, exotics were either useless or like really, 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 really good. And then with Arrivals, with the trace rifle. Help me out here. The trace rifle from Arrivals. Help me out, chat. What the heck was it called? Yeah, Ruinous Effigy. Thank you. I feel like that was one of our first exotics that was like, oh, exotics can be just really weird. And I like that. I personally really like weird exotics. So I think that's a cool introduction. Chad's saying the story was not mid. I think like the lore was cool, but the way that was presented in game, the missions, walk up underneath a tree, kill this wizard, walk into this room, kill this wizard. I think Nokris might have came back as the final boss. I was not really a fan of any of the missions. They felt very cut and dry, personally, for this season. I'm going to give it a high B. I think Prophecy really carried. Prophecy and the lore carried this season, I will say. And being able to farm. That actually carried this season more than anything. Being able to farm all the raids for the last 2 or 3 months with the delay of Beyond Light, I think, what really carried it. It was pretty good, though. Oh, Wither Horde. Shoot, I forgot about Wither Horde. I might put it like A- just because of it, because of Wither Horde, actually. I forgot about Wither Horde. Shoot. I'm gonna put it A-. I can't disrespect Wither Horde like that. Wither Horde plus Warmind cells was like the defining meta for a solid year. You know what I mean? And Fallen Guillotine, that's a really great point. And Umbral Engrams, the whole start of like the focusing engram system. Yeah, I'll give it a low A. I agree, actually. Great quality of life and had a lot of implications that expanded past the season, even if the seasonal content was not the best. So, yeah. Hunts, I mean, come on, right? Like Harbinger, I guess. And the Coup de Grace. The fact that you could farm that mission for the ship was kind of cool, I guess. But like, come on. Harbinger is awful. I think it is easily the worst exotic quest we've ever gotten in terms of like the secret missions below F. Do we think it's worse than Undying? I don't think it's worse than Undying, right? Like hunts were cool because there were a couple of seasonal events, like your dawnings. I think there's like very specifically a dawning in maybe a Festival of the Lost where you could farm hunts and they were really fast to get the materials that you needed for those events. So that was kind of cool, at least. Crow pushes it below Undying. Wow. Okay, everyone's really hating on this. You guys might be swaying me. Vox Obscura. Yeah, Vox Obscura is really bad as well. I don't think it's worse than Harbinger though. Maybe it's worse than Harbinger. Harbinger's really bad. It's just not fun, and it's just brown. Like the color palette for Harbinger is brown. Man. Okay. You guys have, but the weapons were at least more interesting in hunts, and the focusing for those weapons, mostly because of the wave frame. I forget the name of it, but that was where I became a certified wave frame lover. So, what was that called? Deafening Whisper. That's where I started being a certified wave frame lover, dude. Okay, you guys have convinced me. It's the worst one. I don't know. Can these be tied? They're both just so bad. Put them both in the DCV these, please. There you go. They're both in the DCV. Chosen. Chosen's a very divisive season. A lot of people don't like Battlegrounds. I like Battlegrounds. I don't think all of these initial Battlegrounds were a hit. I think 2 of them were. I love Proving Grounds. Proving Grounds is easily one of my favorite strikes in the game. It's pretty short. It's pretty fun. It's got a unique feel to it. What else came out in this season? Presage though? Presage and DMT. The Helm, which I think has been pretty game-changing. I think it's better than Arrivals, actually. I kind of want to do this. Is that Heresy? New Strike. I think the seasonal content was way better in Chosen than Arrivals. But I think Arrivals had longer-lasting implications with Warmind cells and the Umbral Engram system and like what we expect from the game. But the finale was a lot cooler in Arrivals. But fucking Presage, man. I mean, Presage alone clears. Maybe a hot take. Get ready to dislike the video, people watching in the future. But I personally think Presage is better than Prophecy. Any given day, if you're like, hey, would you rather do a Prophecy or a Presage? I'm picking Presage every time. 100%. 100%. Presage was a really fun, like, speed run, optimized, optimization type thing. It had better secrets. The environment was way cooler. It's way more unique in terms of Destiny, which is kind of weird because Prophecy's like LSD the dungeon, but I feel like Presage was way more unique of a take for a Bungie thing. Prophecy was a shadow drop. I mean, so was Presage. I love Presage, though. I really, really love Presage. Also, Presage lore is way cooler than Prophecy lore. Oh, yeah, Keitel introduced. Oh, man. Do I put them both B tier just to make people a little more happy? I mean, these 2 seasons are as close as seasons get. I will say from an endgame perspective, farming raids was better, though. I'm going to leave it like this. Oh, God. God, man. I think Arrivals is a little higher just because of Warmind Cell / Witherhorde and farming raids. But Presage clears Prophecy. These 2 seasons could be identical, man. And like, I can't even say that Arrivals had longer lasting implications on the game because like Battlegrounds are literally the reason that we get as good seasonal content as we get now. Because they introduced Battlegrounds, people started to expect those. or things that of that quality instead of seasonal of like public events. And then people got sick of Battlegrounds, and that pushed it to where we are now. You know what I mean? Like, I think Chosen had huge ramifications on how the game exists today. If this is the hardest one, man. These are interchangeable. I'm going to leave it like this. But I could, like, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be like, man, I should have put it the other way. So that's how that goes. That's where I'm going to leave it for now. Splicer. Vault of Glass 2.0. I'm going to leave it here, but I'm going to move it. Vault of Glass 2.0 was fine. You know, our first reprise raid, I think, was a lot of fun, and I really thought it was interesting, everything they did with that. But I'm still kind of a certified Vault of Glass hater. Easily, probably my favorite seasonal aesthetic, right? The Vex Network. Override was all right. Override was kind of a closer to a public event style of seasonal event. That being said, the what were the story missions called? Exodus? What were those called? The weekly missions? Expunge, thank you. Those were cool. I love the upgrade system for Expunge so you could speedrun them. The Curia mission was really good. Yeah, the seasonal story was really good. The weapons were, I mean, I don't know if it's quite S tier. It's definitely, I think it's mingling with Season of the Dawn, though. I think it did pretty much everything Season of the Dawn did correctly with a raid. But it was Vault of Glass as the raid. So it's like, ugh. The Osiris stuff, yeah. Oh, these two, once again, I mean, just like with Chosen and Arrivals, I think I enjoyed Dawn a little more. Yeah, I enjoyed Dawn a little more. Dawn didn't have a raid, but I mean, Corridors of Time, I literally have Corridors of Time tattooed on my body. You know what I mean? And Empyrean Foundation. And the raid for Splicer was Vault of Glass. If the raid for Splicer was King's Fall, I think that would push it over. Or Crota. But like specifically Vault of Glass 2.0, I'm not a huge fan of. The story was so good though for Splicer. Once again, Override not really the most fun, but interesting enough. Was this our first artifact as well? That can't be right. I feel like artifacts like really came to a, or something about the artifact in Season of the Splicer in my head is like, it was is this our first like darkness, the darkness, suppressing darkness, was that this season? There's something about the artifact this season. Oh, Breach and Clear was this season, so yeah, just played. I feel like that was one of our, if not our first, like really powerful mod that really transformed the season. So maybe like, yeah, the artifact existed before this, but I feel like I had never really felt the impact of the artifact until Splicer, and I feel like it really transformed how I played that season, and I personally really like that. I like when the meta changes really frequently. Transmog, yeah, that's right, with Splicer. Yeah, this was the Shotgun Hot Swap Anarchy meta. I mean, just a really fun. I mean, I think these two, once again, Splicer and Dawn are like really interchangeable, and then a pretty significant drop off to Black Armory, and then like a little bit more of a drop off, and once again, like Chosen and Arrivals are pretty close to each other. And the Vex Network, I mean, is so cool. I think I'm happy with that placement. This is hard. This is really hard. Lost. Okay. I'm going to lose people with this one. I I think a lot of people discount Lost because of how long of a season it was, and I definitely think that is a negative for it. And once again, I'm just going to leave things here, but I'm not placing it yet. I think Astral Alignment was bad. I think to this day, Shattered Realm is easily the most underrated seasonal activity of all time. Like, I really, 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 really liked you would do it once and then you get upgrades and you come back and there's more secrets and more puzzles. I think it was 3 times per all of them. I thought that was really cool. The lore of the season was pretty fun. This was the Stasis linear, right? Trace, which is a pretty cool one. Aegir Scepter, thank you. And Lorentz Driver. It's better than Worthy, for sure. It's better than Worthy and worse than Arrivals. I'm pretty confident there. I'm starting to regret not putting Worthy in a C, though, because I feel like Lost is a C. Shit. Yeah, I just don't think... I don't think Lost is deserving of a C, but I think it's better than Chosen. Or better than Worthy, excuse me. I'm going to delete this Worthy tier. Oh, I can move it, actually? Oh, okay, I'm going to do this. No, I'm just going to put Worthy. I'm overcomplicating this. Okay. I'm happy with this. I just don't think Lost is necessarily a B. I think, like, the seasonal side of Lost, with the exception of Shattered Realm, was a huge L. I didn't care about the story. Aegir's was fine. Like, it was cool from a lore perspective. I like how it transformed the game with, like, I feel like Aegir's is when we started really getting really in-depth, like, elemental build crafting. Was this elemental wells as well? Or did those exist and they just started getting good around this time? I mean, no Endgame at all. And then a huge delay until the 30th anniversary event. The final mission was kind of cool. Setting up Witch Queen. Yeah, I'm going to put it here. I think it's a high C. I think that's fine. The seasonal content just wasn't good. And then there was a huge delay. So that's where I'm going to put it. Even though I am like the #1 certified Shattered Realm enjoyer, I think Astral Alignment is probably the worst version of like a Menagerie Light we've ever had. And I just feel like there wasn't too much else going on that season. And it was just too long. Yeah. All right, 30th anniversary. I mean, like, come the fuck on, right? Avarice, even though it's not the greatest dungeon in the world, is a really great dungeon. I think one thing that really helps... And Dares of Eternity is easily top 3 seasonal events of all time. The weapons were incredible. The farming was incredible. High A, low S, for sure. For sure. And I think the #1 thing that really helps the 30th anniversary is how short it was. And I feel like that really, really helps Into the Light as well. You have essentially the amount of content that you'd fit into a season, but you squeeze it down and it's only a couple months long. I think it was almost exactly 2 months long for a 30th anniversary. I think it was like December 14th to February 22nd or something. Something like that. I'm spitballing, but it was something like that. But I mean, every weapon in Avarice was like a must-have. Go farm. Also the beginning of Artifice Armor? Is that right? Is that right? I feel like that's right. I feel like this is when Artifice Armor debuted as well. No story. But, I mean, come on, Dares of Eternity and all of those weapons. I mean, you had 12 weapons that were, like, must farms. Or maybe, like, 7 or 8 out of the 12 that were must farms. all of the callbacks were really cool. This is like one of these examples where you can feel like the Bungie employees really put their all into it, and they were just super creative and stuff, and I love that. The Forerunner is still super powerful to this day. That quest was kind of fun with the Master Chief vibes. Gallahorn came back. All of that sort of stuff was pretty fun. Eager Edge and Artifice Armor both debuting here. I mean, pretty easy S. And if it came with the actual story content, I think it would. Well, maybe I'm not going to say that, but it's. I mean, I think any day of the week, 30th anniversary. Also, one of the best Crucible metas ever. Easily one of the best Crucible metas ever. That was a great time in Destiny. Risen. More Battlegrounds. Probably. What am I going to say about those Battlegrounds? The moon one's fine. Actually, the moon one's bad. The EDZ one's all right. I don't mind it. And the Cosmodrome one is bad as well. What else came with this? I mean, I didn't like the Battlegrounds. This story was fine. I really don't remember anything else about this season. I'm picking my brain. What else happened? Vox Obscura was part of this season? That's right, it was. Okay. I mean, yeah, probably there. I mean, GMs are a lot better and Warmind cells are a lot more impactful than anything we got here. That's so hard, man. All I remember from this time is Witch Queen, and I remember everything affiliated with this season. I just remembered very much disliking, like pretty heavily. Void 3.0. That's true. Yeah, Void 3.0 is pretty huge. And craftable seasonal weapons, which was fine. You know, got you in and farming for stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with this placement. I don't think it was better than Lost. At least when I think back on Lost, I get a lot more happy than when I think back on Risen. Yeah. Crow killing the Scion, yeah. I mean, the seasonal story is kind of pain for this season. It wasn't very good. Okay, Haunted. I think I'm going to lose people again on this one. I like Haunted a lot. Duality, excellent dungeon. I think, and once again, I'm just putting it here. Anytime I immediately start talking with something and drop it, that's not my actual ranking. Leviathan Patrol Zone, I'm really glad they tried that. I think that was really fun. I like the puzzles. Maybe it didn't really turn into anything, and the nightmare stuff wasn't really the best. But like all those puzzly secrets and stuff, pretty good. Solar 3.0 is insane. Duality was really fun. This was our first triple burst linear. Lots of good weapons from that dungeon, actually. The story was like fine. The scythes were good. Yeah, the scythe was really fun. Oh god, this is hard. This is really hard. This is where it starts getting very difficult. I just think like the worst thing about this season was the seasonal activity. That being said, like the red border farms were pretty fun and intense for this season, like optimizing them. I remember I had a couple videos that really popped off about that. The Keitel farms were so good. Okay, introduced Classy Restoration, which was fine. Introduced Airborne Effectiveness. Goodbye. We'll be seeing you. No, I think I'm happy. I think I'm happy with it right here. I think I'm happy with that. I don't think, I mean, easily also, once again, Haunted had one of the best seasonal aesthetics ever. Like, just the corrupted Leviathan, fiery metal, purple, orange, like, just a baller aesthetic. I think it's right on the same tier as Chosen and Arrivals, where it's like, each of them had something it did really well. Like, I think the story content was pretty peak between these three and Chosen. Prophecy was so good. Oh, Duality's better than Prophecy, though. And the farming was better here. I think that's where I'm gonna put it. The skull armor, the weapon. I feel like, yeah. I feel like I enjoy Duality more than Prophecy. And I enjoy farming Duality more than Prophecy. I think I farmed a lot for Artifice Armor. I don't remember if that was exactly this season, but farmed Keitel for all the Prophecy Armor. There are so many better weapons in Duality than Prophecy. The seasonal weapons were pretty good as well. Ice Luna came back. Beloved came back. I mean, the patrol space is really cool. The season, even though I'm not a big fan of the Nightmare seasonal activity, it is definitely better than the Arrival seasonal activity by a little bit. They're both like public eventy though. I think that's good. I think this is good. I think I'm happy with that. I really did like the farming. Like, that's probably my number one thing about Haunted. Like, I just keep thinking back, and you had the menagerie weapons that you had to farm with the keys on the Leviathan. You had the seasonal weapons was separate than that too, I think. And then you had the duality weapons. Yeah, because there were 12 weapons here. And then the dungeon weapons, right? There were 6. Yeah. There were 6 haunted weapons. There were 6 menagerie weapons. There were 2 more menagerie weapons in the dungeon, plus the 4 other dungeon weapons to farm. We had so many weapons this season. And it was like, and you know me, I'm like a big farmer. I had more fun farming all of that stuff for sure than I just noticed that both era seasons, pretty funny, than the farming the raids for spiky armor and exotics in Arrivals. I'm happy with this placement, I think. I really wish that seasonal activity was better. I think if the seasonal activity was anything interesting, it could have pushed it above Chosen pretty easily, I think. Reaper's a cool title as well. Yeah, Unforgiven. Lingering Dread is huge. Fixed Odds is huge. People like Epicurean. Once again, I mean, the Storm Chaser was insane at the time. It's kind of been power crept a little bit, but Storm Chaser was insane. Adored, or Beloved, whichever one it was, I forget. And then Hawkmoon Ice Luna came back. The Callus Mini Tool came back. Bump in the Night was busted for like a half a season. You had a lot of good stuff out of this season. And Solar 3.0. I'm really happy with that placement. I just talked myself into being really happy with that placement for sure. Okay. Oh, this is going to be probably the hardest one to rank on this entire list, okay? King's Fall 2.0. Awesome. Blows Vault of Glass 2.0 out of the water. The story was so mid. So mid. I don't even care that they reused Lost Sectors. People freak out about that. I don't really care. Catchcraft was fine. The theme of the season was really cool. Catchcraft was fine. Expeditions had the worst triumphs ever. The worst seasonal event ever. Period. Expeditions were so bad. And then insult to injury, the community event at the end. I mean, the only redeeming, Arc 3.0 was cool. The only redeeming things about this season are Arc 3.0 and King's Fall. Yeah, Plunder almost killed Destiny. Yeah, totally. Terrible weapons. King's Fall, Arc 3.0 are the only things about this season. Literally only things. I think I'm really happy with that placement. I mean, maybe a low C, but it's King's Fall's really good. See, the only thing is like I'm looking at Worthy, and it's like Warmind Cells really changed the meta, but everything else about that season, well, GMs were really good. But I like King's Fall. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Like I think a lot of Chosen and Risen, they were just kind of mid. But like so much of Plunder was like offensively bad. The community event was so bad. The expeditions were offensive. They weren't just like nothing. I wasn't, I didn't just feel nothing for them, which is kind of how I felt about like the Seraph Towers. It was like they were just boring. It was like whatever. Expeditions were like offensively bad. The seasonal story was kind of offensively bad. You know what I mean? I just don't. Arc 3.0 is amazing. King's Fall is amazing. Literally everything else about this season like hurts to think about. Catch Crash was fine. Catch Crash was mid. Yeah, I mean it did. It almost killed Destiny, man. It was so bad. It was so bad. And then the Osiris T bullshits. Yeah, I know Mithrax was cool, but everything like still Aramis is like my number one hated enemy in all of that. I hate Aramis, dude. I want her to die. I'm so sick of Aramis. No conclusion to the seasonal story. Yeah, man. I just don't know. The question is, this should be a DCV season. This should be down here. How far does King's Fall and 3.0, Arc 3.0 drag it up? I think I'm going to go there and acknowledge I could very easily, I could see an argument for King's Fall and Arc 3.0 to be a low C, to pull this up. But in my head, like thinking back, there are so many so bad things about this season. I just don't think I can put it any higher than that. I really don't think you can put it any higher than that. Yeah. Seraph is goated. Okay. I love Seraph Shield. Awesome story. My one complaint about the story is Aramis didn't die. But the cinematic, it was like the first 4K cinematic in Destiny history or some shit. Where the Traveler goes up into orbit and Crow's like, like that was cool. I really liked Seraph. I think Seraph had a lot of really great qualities. I was a really fun farm. People hate on the bunkers. I think the bunker battlegrounds are easily the best set of battlegrounds we've gotten. Is that crazy to say? No, I mean they totally are, man. They totally are the best set of battlegrounds we've gotten, 100%. No, I mean Seraph Shield is so good. Any community events or anything? Was there anything like that took us by surprise? Yeah, I like Spire of the Watcher. I don't think it's the worst dungeon. It's definitely not my favorite. I think Spire of the Watcher is like a pretty mid dungeon. I think this season gets carried really hard by Seraph Shield. The Exo Dog stuff was really cool, yeah. Yeah, I think this is easily a high A. Seasonal event was definitely better than Forges. Seraph Shield, probably not better than Scourge. The story was way better than Splicer. It's definitely not better than Dawn. I'm going to put my foot down there. Seraph is not better than Dawn. Is Seraph better than Splicer? That is my current question. I think it is. Splicer had Vault of Glass. But I think the loop of Splicer was better. And honestly, maybe another hot take, I think I like Seraph Shield and all of its accompanying secrets better than Vault of Glass 2.0 and all of its secrets. It's going to come down to that for me. I really liked the farm this season. It felt really good. I'm trying to remember, like, what else happened with Seraph? Was there was nothing else interesting with Seraph? Was there anything extra? I'm trying to remember, like, Splicer had, like, extra fluff. I feel like Seraph didn't. It just went really cleanly and delightful. Yeah, it was kind of the first multi-catalyst secret mission. That's true. First craftable exotic? Yeah. I think, like, for community sentiment and stuff too, I think Seraph deserves this spot. And I remember starting Seraph and being really disappointed because I didn't mind them reusing the bunkers, but I knew people were going to freak out about it. And the fact that it could start at such a low sentiment and get people excited for Lightfall, I mean, I think that's a huge testament for how good that season really was. Oh, Dead Messenger was the first. I forgot about Dead Messenger. But, like, Vox Obscura, though, like, boy. I think this is cool. I'm happy with this. I think, yeah, maybe it wasn't as endgame heavy as a lot of seasons, but in terms of how in story it generated hype and there was still, like, a grind and, like, cool triumphs and the story tied together really well. I mean, in terms of story, this might be the best season. Yo, Reticle, thank you so much. I don't know if any other season has done story as well as Seraph. Maybe Witch. But Seraph is definitely, like, pinnacle of storytelling. So I think I'm going to leave it like this. I think I could be argued one way or another. Defiance. Pretty mid all around. Pretty forgettable battlegrounds. Avalon, and also came with Lightfall, which is like that's a tough act to follow, buddy. Avalon's so cool, though. Worst story, Amanda Holiday got toasted. Better than Plunder. Better than Risen? Man, I'm the only thing carrying this season is Avalon. That's it, dude. That is completely and utterly it, is Avalon. But is Avalon cooler than anything in Risen? Oh my god, I'm just thinking, like, all of these seasons are not that good. Like, these seasons down here, man, nothing carried this season. Nothing carried this season. Nothing carried this season. You know, they were all just uninspired and, like, fine. They were just fine. This season is fine with Avalon. And the battlegrounds were fine. It was just fine, Avalon. There's such a huge space between these seasons and these seasons, it's not even funny. It's like, the jump from B to C is crazy. It's like, any of these seasons, you pour me back there, I'd be fine. I never want to go back to any of these seasons ever again. Yeah, do the memes about Amanda help? Yeah, a little bit. Defiance above Lust is wild. I didn't really. The only thing I liked and lost was Shattered Realms, and I think Avalon is better than Shattered Realms. Right? Like, what else did Lost have? Sell me on it. Sell me on it, please. I don't want to forget anything. I mean, we've been playing Destiny a long time. It's hard to keep everything straight. Lost did have a fun meta. I'll give you that. But I don't know. I think Avalon is Avalon is essentially a dungeon. It is an armor set and a couple weapons away from being a dungeon. They easily could have given it extra stuff and called it a dungeon. No doubt in my mind. Splitting Lost in 30th puts Lost super low. Completely agree. Amanda shot Crow though, so that's cool. She did shoot Crow. It is really incredible how big of a split there is between tier B and C here. Avalon carries Defiance out of D tier. I agree. I think my enjoyment in Defiance was higher than Lost because the back 2 months of Lost were a literal nothing. It was nothing. Once Shattered Realm finished, because of the delay, it was pulling teeth for 2 months. There was nothing to do. Defiance never really hit that. Was it the most interesting? No. But it was at least decent. I'm talking about the 2 months before the 30th. It was like, for Lost, you had like a month of content, and then nothing, and then 30th. You should make, I do have a separate, this is the 30th anniversary up here, Lab. I'm going to leave it here, but honestly, like anything below B tier, you could shuffle them up, and I think C tier, you could randomize them any way you want, actually. I'm pretty happy with D and DCV. C tier is a hard one, because it is so hard to rank things that are just like by definition mid. You know what I mean? It's like, was this more or less mid than this thing that was mid? That's a very hard thing to do. This is Opulence. So, Deep. I think Deep is underrated. I really like deep dives. I really like Whetstone. I think is cool. Deep dives, look, Deep. Did Deep come with a... Oh, and Ghost of the Deep, dog. Oof. 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 Deep dives, while not the best activity, definitely the start of the best activity. I think Deep into Wish is the best year of activities we've ever had. Period. Salvage was so bad. I forgot about Salvage. Salvage was really bad, but you didn't have to do Salvage that much, even for Triumphs. It was only like 15 runs without dying or something, like, which is a lot, but Expeditions you had to do 200 of. That's why they were so bad. They did not require you to do a lot of Salvage. It was just there. Salvage was pretty bad. Deep dives were fun. And as a player that has like a fire team that I can consistently play with, which I acknowledge is not the case for everybody, but it is for me. And I could go for those tier 7s, and I could do Whetstone whenever I wanted, and I loved the Toland Orb. And I think Deep Dives had a lot of like mystery and secrets, and I really appreciate also how it had a unique aesthetic. Any season that comes with its own unique aesthetic, I think is awesome. Splicer, Deep, Haunted, where they clearly have to do a lot of extra work to flesh this out. They can't just use existing assets. I think that's really cool. The worst part about Season of the Deep was what they did to my boy Valkaor. Fishing was fun too. Like, a lot of people hated on fishing. I have all the fishing triumphs, so even the 0-point ones. So I've done my fair share of fishing. I think fishing was cute. I think they required you to do too much fishing, for sure. But fishing was cute, and it was incredibly rewarding. It was ridiculously rewarding, right? I think if they just pulled it back a little bit, I think it would have been a lot better. in terms of how much you were required to do. But I really do like Whetstone, the return to these super secret missions that are time gated in terms of like you enter the mission, then you have 15 minutes to do it. I think Deep is a good season. The worst part about Deep is why are we talking to a giant fish? What are we doing here? You know, and reading the collector's edition lore. Do I have it? No, I don't. The collector's edition lore for Final Shape and seeing like what we should have been doing, like collecting artifacts about the Witness and learning about the Witness, like Ido was in the collector's edition lore, makes me like retroactively dislike Deep even more. Cause like, why are we talking to this fucking fish? You know? But also probably the best cutscene in Destiny history, in my opinion, or one of at least. The Witness origin cutscene was really good. This is where they started to rectify a lot of the wrongs that they did with Lightfall. It was definitely not a perfect season, but I think it was an impactful season, and it had a lot of really great stuff in it. And Ghost of the Deep is fantastic. Fantastic. Lots of things to farm. Amazing armor sets. I love Ghost of the Deep. It's such a good dungeon. Exotic Mission was weird, but I like it. I like that. I would much rather Bungie take a weird thing and do weird stuff with it and try new stuff than play it safe. So I love this stuff. Navigator was awesome. Veil Containment was pretty cool. Like it's obviously like kind of lame that it resorted to that, but it was still like decent lore, right? Like it wasn't bad. I wouldn't say Veil Containment is like the best thing ever, but at least it's starting to contextualize some of the stuff that, once again, like I feel like Deep was really about rectifying Lightfall and how bad Lightfall was. And it did not do a perfect job of that, but it definitely did a good start. How big's your biggest fish? I have the 80 kilograms, I think. Like, I have the biggest you can get. True, Ghost is kind of tedious after the first run. It is, but I think, like, I mean, especially Ekthar, dude. Ekthar is a perfect encounter for a dungeon. I love that encounter. It's so unique. It feels great. The final boss, Simonuna or whatever, it's fine. It's fine. I really did like the flow of Deep was really fun. It was a great first time experience, and yeah, it's a little tedious to do those underwater sections every time. But I still think like Deep with the underwater sections is still better than like a dungeon that you can do faster, you know? So I really like Deep. I think that's kind of like one of my unpopular opinions. I think a high B is a good placement for Deep. Not rectifying the content was planned. I actually don't think a lot of that content was planned. Like all of the announcements for Veil Containment and the Neomuna hand cannon, that sort of stuff came very late, and it was all approached to us like it was not planned. And if I had to bet, I would bet Veil Containment and the Witness cutscene were definitely not planned. That's my bet. Maybe some form of the Witness cutscene was, but I think the reason we got what we ended up getting was because of how awful Lightfall was received. And I feel like a lot of that was like, hey, fix this now. Like, now, fix this. Dungeon Armor is S tier. Yeah, like, I'm really happy with this placement. I think this is good. I'm even toying with putting it above Chosen. Because Chosen didn't really have any endgame stuff. I think that would be a truly unpopular opinion, right? Like me putting that there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I know that's not going to be popular, but I think Deep is underrated. There are plenty of things that are wrong with Season of the Deep, do not get me wrong, but I love that at least they went for it. This is like, I feel like so many seasons they just play it safe, and it's just like Defiance, right? Like it's just a nothing. It's uninspired. There's no creativity. It's nothing. Season of the Deep, at least they went for something. You know what I mean? And I would rather them go for something wild and new to Destiny and miss it a little bit. Like the seasonal story was pretty mid. Like let's not even fool ourselves. But the gameplay aspect of it, I feel like was super rewarding and fulfilling and pretty good. You know? And I respect that. I respect that a lot. Yeah, they did add a new strike in Chosen. And that's why I like that. Conqueror would have been in Worthy, was when GMs were introduced. Witch. I don't know how everyone feels about Witch. I think Witch introduced two of the strongest seasonal activities ever. Savathun's Spire was like, it's pretty standard, but it's good. I think it's elevated standard. Altars of Summoning is awesome. It is awesome. I love the aesthetic they went for. The story hit. Imbaru engine is really awesome. Crota's End 2.0 is fucking awesome. The only thing that Witch could have done better is I wish the loot was better. The loot in Crota's End was pretty mid. The seasonal loot people love kept confidence, so that's awesome. I'm glad people like it so much. But I feel like so much of the loop of Witch was really great. There were secrets in Witch. I feel like the story was really great, and maybe the final cutscene could have been extended a little bit more, or there was some lore after that with like Saint 14 killing Savathun over and over again, and that sort of stuff maybe should have been extended more. The crafting, yeah. But I mean, I think just Imbaru, the seasonal activities alone, and Crota 2.0, I mean, drag this thing to low S tier for me. If we only ever got Season of the Witch style activities for the rest of Destiny, I would be incredibly happy. Personally. And once again, like, crafting was not planned. That's not necessarily what this tier list is like, I don't really care if it was planned or not, but the fact Bungie leaned into the crafting as much as they did, if the crafting happened in Plunder, or if it happened during Lost, I feel like they would have patched it immediately. But the fact, well, and Lost happened before Witch Queen, so it factually could not have happened during Lost. But if that Bungie mentality existed, they would have patched crafting or taken out crafting or whatever. But the fact they leaned into it like they did, and there was there's the start of Bungie like really like, Destiny's about fun. Let's lean into that. I think that's awesome. I think the unfortunate part, and I'm not sure how does this affect it. Like, I think a lot of the layoffs and stuff started happening around Season of the Witch, and that's awful. You know what I mean? How does that affect how we see the gameplay aspect of it? I don't know how that I don't even know how to begin to account for that sort of stuff. But I think in terms of like, out of respect for all the work that even all those employees did, all those employees that were let go, I hope they're incredibly proud of what they did. And that obviously should have never happened. And there's a lot of other factors there that are really bullshit and once again should never have happened. But I think like Season of the Witch was truly standout and something special. I think so. Personally. So, and even with the community sentiment being kind of low, I mean, it was still relatively high in terms of Destiny. You know what I mean? Like, this is when Joe Blackburn started talking to us and hyping us up, and we started getting more concise information about what's happening, and we got the reveal for Final Shape. So it was like, I feel like the low point of Destiny was like right in between Deep, in terms of community sentiment, was right in between Deep and Witch. But the quality of these two seasons really helped carry us forward to where we are now. I see like the end of Deep and Witch, the beginning of Witch, or all of Witch, really kind of as the war minds. You know, I feel like Warmind is often overlooked as such an important point in Destiny history, but sentiment was super low going into Warmind. By the time we left Warmind, sentiment was super high because of things like the Whisper and stuff. And then it really had all that momentum and excitement and all of our feedback going into Forsaken. So a lot of people are like, Forsaken's where Destiny 2 turned around. I think it's Warmind. And I think it's really similar for this. I think in a couple years, we're going to look back and a lot of people are going to be like, Final Shape is where Destiny turned around again. But I really think that started with the end of Deep or some of Deep in most of Season of the Witch. We're getting these super unique, inspired, creative activities with the roguelike and the card building, the deck building, and Baru engine and Whetstone. And you can tell like employees are really being creative and being allowed to do fun stuff. And I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool. And it sucks that it, of course, I mean, I've talked about this a billion times. You know, the layoffs suck. All those responsible for the layoffs, you know, we've had this discussion 100 times. But from a gameplay perspective, every single person who worked on Season of the Witch should be very proud of what they did. And I stand by that. Yeah, new strand aspects too. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Season of the Witch is a hard one for me. Coil, in my opinion, is the best seasonal activity there's ever been. The aesthetic was awesome. Not that many interesting weapons. Warlord's Ruin is the best dungeon. But once again, like other than the Indebted Kindness, is that what it's called? I'm not really interested in any of those weapons. The armor sets I think are kind of bad. This is such a split season for me. Warlord's Ruin and Coil are amazing. Are S tier. Easily. Any day of the week. Everything else in the season is super mid. The story was lame. Riven's Wishes were lame. We're not counting Into the Light as part of this season. That's its own thing. Riven's Wishes were lame. The story was lame. The loot was lame. Bloodline's cool. That's so hard, man. It's at least an A for me. I think it's better than Deep. No, I mean, how is the story not lame? It's pretty lame. It is like the definition. I feel like we've really regressed with the story where it's like, find my egg, find my egg, find my egg, found my egg, wait 3 weeks, find my egg. You know, it's like, that's like what I hate about Destiny seasons, when they're not inspired and when it feels like nothing is moving. Cool concept though. Worthy in C tier is crazy. I don't like Worthy at all. It's fine. I think Worthy is like the most mid-season. I don't think it's offensively bad. That's the discussion I have. Like D and below is like offensively bad. B and above is like pretty good. C is just like, I have no emotion concerning this. Starcrossed was really cool. I wish the mission itself was a bit more complex and a little better, and I wish the exotic was a little better, but I mean the story beyond Starcrossed was awesome. I'll give you that all day long. Where they should be lower, no, I'm pretty happy with where it is. Season of Wish isn't even over. I am counting the Into the Light as its own stuff. So for the purposes of this tier list, we still do have a single wish. We have a single wish mission left, right? I don't really think that's going to change my opinion. There, I'm starting to think. Okay, is Warlord's Ruin and Coil better than Scourge of the Past and Forges? Yes. Is it better than IOB Labs? Coil's really good. Is Warlord's Ruin and Coil better than Vault of Glass? I mean, yeah, it kind of is. But the loot was so much better in Splicer. The loot in the story clear in Splicer for sure. Man, I wish the story was... If Season of the Wish had a good story, man, it would clear. It would be S tier so easily. Coil is such... Coil and Warlords are so good. They're so good. They're so good, man. Like, I have half a mind to put it there. It's not better. Okay, look, it's just straight up not better than Dawn. Now, I will be... Empyrean Foundation, Corridors of Time. Two of the most unique, awesome times of Destiny history, period. Warlord's Ruin and Coil are really good. Warlord's Ruin is definitely better than Seraph Shield. Definitely. And Coil is definitely better than the Bunkers. You know? But the Seraph story was so strong. How do I balance endgame and gameplay incentive versus story and like... This is impossible. This is impossible, man. Any of the... Okay, I mean, I think this just has to be a gut reaction. I think this has to be a gut reaction. Okay. Okay. Wish versus Black Armory. If I could exist in one point in time in Destiny's history, would it be Wish or Black Armory? I think Wish. Niobe Labs is really good, but it was good once. Coil is highly replayable. The stories are about the same quality here. Warlords is way better. Okay, if I could exist in one point in Destiny's history, Wish or Splicer? Splicer better aesthetic, better loot. Coil has a better gameplay loop, though. And Warlord's Ruin is definitely better than Vault of Glass 2.0. Yeah. Wish or Seraph? I think I'm going to leave it there. I think that's where I want to leave it. Into the Light's still down there. I haven't ranked it yet. It's its own thing. I think Seraph is good where it is. I feel like if Seraph had an end game thing other than... They are the exact opposite. They are good for the literal exact opposite reasons. You know, Seraph had an awesome exotic mission in Seraph Shield, and its story was peak. But its end game thing, Wish or Spire of the Watcher, was kind of mid. Wish has amazing end game things, and Coil is definitely better than the Bunkers. But Wish has an awful story, or like a super mid story, and like its exotic mission is definitely way worse. They're literally, if you could take the best parts of Seraph and the best parts of Wish and combine them, it would be the greatest season. Easily, it would clear everything else. I'm gonna leave it there. This might be the least confident I've ever been in a tier list ever. Into the Light. It's hard because it doesn't have a story component. But Into the Light is awesome. The weakest part of Into the Light is weirdly Whisper and Outbreak returning is my least favorite. I think Onslaught is incredible. I think this is the best loot incentive I think I've had in Destiny ever. The shiny weapons are so good. Most of those weapons are so good. And there's 12 of them versus the usual 6. Oh, Pantheon, though. Pantheon clears. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Pantheon might try this shit all the way. There's no way I could say. Into the Light is the best content drop Destiny has ever had. I will get murdered. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Godslayer's cooler than Shadow? The loot is better in this season? I mean... Oh no. And it's free? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. There's definitely some recency bias in this too, so that makes this even harder. I mean, it is the perfect loot incentive. The meta is so good right now. You can run whatever you want and be successful. Pantheon is probably the coolest thing they have ever done. Onslaught is easily top 5, top 3 coolest seasonal activities ever. The only thing Into the Light is missing is like a narrative component, but it doesn't need it. It only needs to exist for 2 months. It's all free. It is, you can tell Bungie put their all into it. And like I said, it's the weakest part. The weakest part about Into the Light is Whisper of the Worm and presumably 0 Hour as well. Like, those have the least hype surrounding them, which is completely backwards from how I thought it would be. Oh, I can't. And 3 PvP maps, dude. Oh no. I can't put it number 1. Can I put it number 1? Am I allowed to do that? We only have half the update, and I think it's better than the 30th. Yeah, I mean, it is top 2 at least. Oh no. And I feel better about Destiny playing it than I have in a very long time. Community sentiment. It has done literally everything that Bungie has needed it to do. It can't be the best because there's no raid or dungeon. I think the fact that there's no raid or dungeon is completely okay because Pantheon is... I think Pantheon is cooler than a new... Is that true? Can I say that? Godslayer and the 4 emblems alone. I mean, come on. Pantheon has multiple levels to introduce new people into raiding if you want to. It drops adepts from the triumphs. It drops raid exotics from our site. It is very highly curated to see how far you can go to get you prepared for the final shape raid as the coolest title ever and as 4 emblems that are cooler than the vast majority of day 1 emblems. And it's free. That's crazy. You haven't even played Pantheon or the PvP maps yet. You can see we know literally everything about Pantheon. There is nothing that is going to drop about Pantheon that is going to be surprising. We have it completely mapped out in the API. The only thing that we do not know is which surges are going to what, if they rotate weekly or whatever. We know every modifier. We know every encounter. We know all of the requirements. We're starting to even early figure out some of the changes that they made to each encounter. Because some of the changes went live in the regular versions of the raid. We know what Pantheon is. We know all the rewards. We know everything about Pantheon. There's nothing that is going to be surprisingly good or surprisingly bad about Pantheon because we fully know what it is. We don't know the encounters. We know literally the encounters. We know all 8 encounters and the exact order of the encounters. We haven't played it yet. I've played these encounters 100 times. I can definitely say, yeah, like PvP maps. I don't want to talk about the quality of the PvP maps because we haven't played them yet. They look really cool, especially the ship one. I think just based off of the preview, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like the ice one. What is that place called? Europa one. But what changed in the encounters already? Nezarec's purple voids track more aggressively now, and in Golgoroth, it seems like you get 2 of the corrupted light buffs. So that's what people are already starting to figure out. So yeah, or unstable light, thank you. So it looks like there's going to be a couple changes here or there. I would be very surprised if you can choose Riven. But we don't know. Right now you can still choose Riven. So I don't know if that's going to translate. I don't know if like They have clearly been messing with the encounters. I don't know if the 2 unstable light things is supposed to be happening, but the fact that it is happening to me speaks to the fact that they were at least messing with that encounter. We don't know how health is going to change. We don't know about any of that, but we do know there's unique modifiers. We do know that there's surges. We know that what light levels there are, and we know exactly the encounters you have to complete for all of them. For sure, 100%. They also added a sound effect for when Explicator takes a plate. There you go. So they have clearly been going into these encounters and tuning them. There are going to be small changes. And like I said, like Atrax, for instance, with how powerful we are, is going to be a pushover on contest. So I'd be very surprised if they didn't mess with her health a little bit or something. But we'll find out. But I think all the unknowns about Pantheon can only make it better, and it's already an S tier. They should make it so you can only choose Riven. I think, even without Pantheon, I think the prospect of Pantheon is good. I think the 3 Crucible maps, the prospect of them is good. But regardless of those, I think the loot incentive and Onslaught and the return of Whisper and 0 Hour, which we haven't played yet, but if it's anything like Whisper, it'll barely change, for a 2-month free content update. Easily S tier. And I think the prospect of Pantheon and the Crucible maps pushes it up to, for free, probably the best we've ever had in this time span for a season. Very well, with the stipulation that if those things don't land, I think this is where Into the Light could be, and this is the worst Into the Light could be. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anything that Pantheon could be the most dog shit thing ever. It could be broken every week until the final shape launches, and I still don't think that drops Into the Light lower than this. Do we agree with that? I don't care if it's reused content because it's fun. It's fun. I don't. You're preaching the wrong guy about the reused content thing. There's reused content in like 90% of these seasons. Is there an Oryx boss? Yes, there is. I don't know, man. I don't think Opulence is good. Like, Onslaught clears Menagerie any day of the week. The loot in Into the Light clears any loot in this. Crown is the one unknown. Tribute Hall, yo, David, thank you. David. Tribute Hall was awesome. Tribute Hall is definitely better than Hall of Champions. I'll give you that. I guess to me, it comes down to, is Crown and the other side mission, are those better than Pantheon, returning 0 Hour, returning Outbreak? That's going to be a very personal decision you have to make. For an end game player, Crown is 3/4 of Crown is kind of mid. Galron is peak. For me. And there's definitely recency bias in this too, right? I mean, the game is just so much more complex and dynamic than it was back here anyways. That's a hard thing to factor across all of this. Crown excluding the start is the best 2 boss fights we've ever had except for Rolk? No, dog. You think Galron Phase 1 is better than Riven? You're crazy. Galron Phase 1 is fine, but it doesn't clear Argos. It doesn't clear Riven. I would say it doesn't even clear Valka Order. Like, it's not even... It's interesting because you get split into 3, but it's not like anything crazy. Galron itself, the final Galron, is an amazing, easily top 5 boss fights of all time. I will give you that each and every single day. But Galron Phase 1 is not really that interesting of an encounter. I'm gonna do this. with the caveat of if Pantheon is bad, it drops to second. And that's what I get. I know people are going to hate that, but this is my list. And I think all around, I'm really happy with this entire list. I could do without these ever existing. These are like actively bad for the game. This is just mid for the game. This is pretty good. These are all in their own right, in some way game changing. And these are among the best. I mean, I would take most, if not all of these seasons, I would take them in place of a lot of expansions. I would take any of these before Lightfall. I'd take any of these before Shadowkeep. I would take any of these before Curse of Osiris. Take any of these before the Taken King. No, I'm just I'm just kidding. Calm down. That was a joke. But you know, like I'm happy with how this turned out. Yeah. Okay. That's the list. You have to account for the achievement chase of the Legend Menagerie is better than Onslaught 50. The achievement chase of Legend Menagerie might be better, but not than Onslaught, but not than Pantheon. 8 bosses minus 20 on contest in a row with some form of speedrun mechanic because of the score mechanic. The Legend Menagerie is not going to be tougher than Legend Pantheon. Yeah. Yeah. Hard mode Menagerie was very good. Hard mode, look, I'm not a big Menagerie guy in terms of regular Menagerie. You know, it was fine. I farmed a shit ton of it, but mostly because it was bugged. But for what it was, Menagerie is fine. That being said, I mean, fine as in it's still one of the best seasonal activities because most seasonal activities are like actively bad, but especially before this year. But Menagerie is not better than Coil. Menagerie is not better than Altars of Summoning. It's not better than Dares of Eternity. It's not better than Onslaught. Legend Menagerie is better than a lot of those things. There are very few times in Destiny history where I've been like actively scared, right? Legend Menagerie made me nervous. I felt the same going for Flawless Menagerie on Legend as I did going for a Flawless Raid. It was very intimidating. You had to do the whole thing without your team dying, right? So it was like, there were ogres that would insta-kill you. There were thrall that would insta-kill you. There was all sorts of stuff. There were cyclops that would insta-kill you. Legend Menagerie carried Menagerie, in my opinion. For sure. And between Legend Menagerie and the loot incentive as well, because of the glitch. The farming glitch. For sure. Carried. The ogre boss was crazy, dude. I remember, like, for the third boss, the Hydra boss, we were so scared that we put anti-barrier on our recluse, and anti-barrier existed back then? You could what? You could shoot through the boss's shield. For sure, with recluse. I remember doing that. Was that anti-barrier? Why could you do that? You could shoot through the Hydra shield with a primary weapon. On the Legend, that's how we did it. I swear that's how we did it. Maybe not. Okay. Well, then the first time we did it legit then, because I had shadowed that first season. But Legend Menagerie was awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. Legend Menagerie clears regular Menagerie any day of the week. 100%. 100%. That's it. Yeah. I'm happy with how this turned out. That was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Can I ask why you put Season of Arrivals in B? Do you think it should be higher than that? Season of Arrivals, the story content itself wasn't super interesting to me. Like, the lore was fine, but like the story missions were pretty mid, and the seasonal activity for Arrivals was horrible. It was not good. The redeeming qualities of Arrivals were, a lot of them were the lasting impacts it had. So Wither Horde in conjunction with like Warmind cells and the Umbral Engram system, stuff like that was really good. Prophecy's really good as well, which is why it's in B. B's a really good score. Like, don't get me wrong, but the best part about Arrivals was not even the seasonal content of Arrivals. It was farming raids, which they only did because the DLC was delayed, right? So it was like, so. Oh, you think it should be lower? I'm pretty happy with where it is. It's definitely better in Defiance. I actually think there's like a, in reality, I would have this. Like, I think these are all good and these are all bad. Lost is fine. I wouldn't say Lost is here. In my mind, it looks more like this, where it's like, these are all objective or subjectively, in my opinion, these are all top tier. I'm happy with any of these. Maybe Haunted and Arrivals. I wouldn't be super happy with them, but they're really good comparatively. And then there's like a huge drop off, and then you have these, which are all pretty mid, and then you have a huge drop off, and then you have all of these, which are just bad. They're just awful, bad, bad, bad. And that's kind of what I have. Pre-Beyond Light after Shadowkeep. Is that how I have it? Wait, what do you mean by that, Shrimp? Because these are all out. No, because this is like year 1, 2. This is like this or last year. God, Into the Light. I really ranking Into the Light that hard, that high, really makes me nervous. Because I know there's a lot of recency bias, but I've played so much, man. I've been farming. I've put so many hours into this already. Onslaught is so good. It's not perfect, once again, and it doesn't have a story. I think, honestly, not having a story component is better than having an awful story component. I would rather this than this in terms of story, you know what I mean? I would definitely rather no story than whatever the fuck Nez Cafe was. You know, that's how I'm looking at it. Story's like one of those things where it's like, I don't like swings and misses on story. I like swings and misses. It's fine. Swings and misses can be excited with like gameplay element, like deep dives, right? Like maybe not everyone's favorite, but at least they went for something cool and unique and inspired. That's fine. But like, I'm not really as forgiving with story, I guess. Onslaught's not as good as Menagerie level content. I mean, no, Onslaught clears Menagerie. It's not even close, dog. Onslaught's not only more fun to do actively, it's with the, in terms of like regular Menagerie, it's more challenging. I wouldn't say it's more challenging than Legend Menagerie, but it is, Onslaught is 50 times more rewarding than Menagerie, even with the glitch. It's like, and the weapons are better. It's, the shiny weapons, like Onslaught clears. It's not, I'm not a Menagerie apologist at all. I think the Legend Menagerie was easily the best part of Menagerie. I think Menagerie is very highly overrated in terms of like how it is. Like Coil, better than Menagerie any day of the week. Altars of Summoning, I would personally rather do than Menagerie, and from a gameplay perspective. Dares of Eternity, I would rather do than Menagerie. Onslaught, yeah, easily. I still prefer Menagerie reward focusing with the Chalice. Yeah, I loved running a 25-minute activity and getting one weapon. Like, no, I don't. I'm not a big fan of Menagerie personally. Except for Legend, I thought that was really good. The glitch made Menagerie good. Obby went to season 7, so right after Shadowkeep and Choose the Champ scenarios. Wow. I think also it's really repetitive. If you put those weapons in Menagerie, it would be better. How is Menagerie any less repetitive? It's six encounters. They're the same 6 encounters every time. Like, at least Onslaught has some, like, variability with, you know, bonus rounds and boss rotations and stuff like that. Plus, Godslayer. Not Onslaught. Godslayer's way cooler than Shadow as well. Favorite 24-hour raid emblem that I have? I think I've done a ranking of these. Probably Crow. King's Fall. Where's King's Falls? King's Falls is really clean. King's Falls is really good. I like Crota's a lot, but King's Falls is really good. Is this the day one? I don't remember which of these is the day one. I think it's this one. I wish Vault of Glasses was cooler. It's so boring. The first one I have is Deepstone, so I'm missing a lot of the cooler ones are the ones I don't have. Crown would be the coolest one. Garden would be the coolest one. Last Wish, obviously. Like, I missed all of those. I don't have any of those. I don't have Scourge. Scourge is pretty boring. But in terms of day ones that I do have, I think King's Fall or Crota. One of those two. Day one Vow's fine. It's the black one, right? Is this the day one? Or is it this one? You know what's crazy? It's like, let's look at the Pantheon emblems again. I love doing this. Because it's not even close, man. Like, if we're talking about day one emblems, I know technically the Pantheon emblems are not day one emblems, but they're right up there. You know, same type of thing. And they are cooler than most. They're cooler than most. Like, most of the... So this is the first one. For 4 bosses, 5 under. I mean, come on, dude. Like... Come on. Okay, the next one is Oryx. This is 5 bosses, 10 under. Like, what day one does this not clear? This is, I mean, maybe Crown. And like, Last Wish is artificially cool because so few people have it, in my opinion. I don't think you'll be able to dethrone that one. But like, come on. You guys want to see the hardest one? This is first 6 bosses at 15 under. This is, if this was a day at 1 emblem, it would be the second coolest in the game, behind literally only Last Wish. This emblem is absurd. Like, absurd. And then the final one, which is cool. I still like this one. It's not as cool as the other one. This one is the final one. This is for beating the entire Pantheon on contest. So 8 boss modes, 8 boss encounters on contest, minus 20. It has references to most of the bosses, but I've still not been able to find all of the bosses, and that confuses me a little bit. You have Golgoroth, Rolk, Oryx. I think Explicator, Atrax, Nezarec, Riven. But it is, as far as I can tell, it is missing, this one's cool. I don't think this one's cooler than a lot of day ones. I really like the theme of this one. I'm not sure how else this could have been. I love that they included so many raid bosses. I think that's really cool. But it's just not as simple. Is contest harder than master? Yeah. Riven's by Orcs? No, Riven's literally right here. That is one quadrillion % Riven. There's her little penis testicle. There's her face. That is undeniably Riven. Who am I missing? Caretaker, I don't think is on this emblem. If Caretaker's on this emblem, I don't know where Caretaker is. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Caretaker's the only one, actually, that I don't know where it is on this. But Orcs is on the left here. This is gonna be so good, man. I'm so excited. Pantheon's gonna clear everything. It's so good. Slight spoilers. Slight spoilers. The 8 bosses. Give me a second. If you don't want to know the bosses, mute for a second. So in order, Caretaker isn't by Riven? I don't think so. If it is, I don't know where it would be. Nezarec and Nezarec's axe. I have no idea. Anyways. You said the 8 bosses? Oh yeah, I literally did just say the 8 bosses. Sorry about that. My bad. In order. So this is the order of the bosses, and then you do them increasing amounts every week. So Golgoroth, then Caretaker, then Explicator, then Atrax. That's the first 4. So the first 4 you do -5. The next week it's -10 light, and then you do all 4 of those bosses in that same order with Oryx as the last one. Then the next week is -15, those 5 bosses, then Rolk. And then the final week is -20 contest. All 6 of those bosses in that order, then Riven, then Nezarec. Solo Pantheon, you might... The only one you could solo is the first one. Golgoroth is soloable, Caretaker is soloable, Explicator is soloable, Atrax is soloable. So, and that's only -5. So technically, I bet people will solo that as long as they didn't change the mechanics too much, or the health. But we'll have to see. But Pantheon's gonna be goated. It's gonna be absolutely goated. It's gonna be goated. Yeah. So, I can't believe it's been 3 hours. Holy shit. I feel like we haven't done anything but read this stream. That's insane. Holy shit. People are gonna struggle on Riven because no one ever learned it. Yeah. You need to boycott Pantheon for not including Borgon. That's so mean, but also kind of true. Sure, lab. Can we compare the grind for Into the Light seal with Season of Opulence? Oh, it's not even close. Shadow was a super grindy seal. Shadow is probably the... Maybe not the grindiest, but the hardest seal. I'd say Reckoner was the grindiest seal. Complete the collections, do weekly bounties, complete a run of the Menagerie normally, wear a gear, do that, defeat all the legend bosses. The hard part was... I think you had a solo one? Maybe not. The hardest part was you had to do a flawless version of the raid and then a flawless version of all 3 of the legends without dying. Without anyone in your fire team dying. So you had to do essentially 4 flawless activities. Was there a solo one? There was definitely a solo triumph, but I don't know if it was part of this. No, Din. Alright, so Lab sent me this. What is this? Okay, what are these? Oh, are these triumphs? I don't have adept forbearance, that's embarrassing. Show me all the day ones I don't have? Okay. God damn, I'm kind of a raider though. No one has all of this? Lab? How does no one have all of this? What? None of the 11 people? I guess all of the 11 people that still have this emblem, they're not really, a lot of them don't play the game that much anymore, and they're not really completionists. So that actually kind of makes sense. Interesting. Interesting. The difficulty was that it was effectively a seasonal seal and a raid seal. Yeah, I do think like Godslayer is gonna be so rare, guys. I'm so excited for it. Yeah. You don't have the legs for Crota? No, I didn't do a lot of Crota on other characters. So I need it. That's one thing I want to do is I want to go through and complete all my badges before final shape. Like Root of Nightmare, what am I missing? I don't have the helmet on my Hunter. Insane. Crota. I don't have the mark on my Titan. Watch of the Spire. I don't have the mark on Titan. Starting to sense a pattern here. Ghost of the Deep. I don't have the boots on Titan. Warlords. I don't have any of the Hunter. I must have never. I don't think I've ever done it as a Hunter. Oh god. I need to go LFG some of these things. But I want to get all my gold badges. Just to have them. So. Man. Oh goodness, I'm gonna miss you guys. I'm gonna be gone for a week. I'm gonna miss you. I've really enjoyed farming this last week for stuff, and let's show off some of my shiny loot that I've gotten so far. I farmed so much of this, man. I am onslaught pilled to the max. Godslayer is going to be rough depending on how the score works. If you need to run the hit 200k, if there's a point where you lose score and wipes don't reset the timer, it could be pretty hard. I think it's, from looking at everything in the API, and it doesn't tell you everything, but it doesn't look like you can lose score. But it looks like after a certain, like you gain score based off of how fast you complete each encounter. So it does seem like there's a point in which you stop gaining score. I do think it'll be tough, though. Oh, I guess I didn't have to, like, fly anywhere to show you my vault, eh? Onslaught Pilled Shiny Maxer? That is so true. It was 3 mil. So here we go. Oh, I kept this shit. What? I didn't even know I fucking kept this. Hoon is gonna be so delighted. I have an auto-loading recom. I mean, Slick Draw Rampage is the real god roll, right? I thought I deleted this. It's kind of mid. Check this shit out. I got this yesterday. Nope. No, wait, what? Hello? Oh, there it is. I got this yesterday. Check out this baby. I was not even focusing for it. This was a random drop. Firing line reconstruction with a lead from gold hot swap. Fluted barrel for the extra handling. Handling masterwork. And then tac mag for more shots too. So, I mean, this thing, it's not necessarily perfect, but this is a pretty fucking good roll. Unbelievable. So I'm really happy about this. I'm Supremacy enjoyer, but if I'm gonna use something other than Supremacy, I'm glad I have something good. You know what I mean? And then I have, so that's all of that stuff I've gotten. And then I got this Mountaintop, which is Impulse Vorpal and Impulse Frenzy, which I can switch depending on the type of content I'm doing. If there's a ton of yellow bars or if there's a ton of ads. Reload Masterwork kind of sucks. Wish this was handling. Implosion rounds for less blast radius to do more damage. My launches kind of suck, unfortunately. I wish there was hard launch on here, but it is what it is. I saw you say something about the lower blast radius on Mountaintop on Twitter. How much better? It's like very marginal. It barely even matters, man. It's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't worry about it. Oh, good to know, Maverick. Thank you. So I got that. And then I got this LC's rifle, which is pretty good. Happy with this. I kind of wish this was Zen Moment, but I'll take it. I haven't used it yet, actually. Yeah, I have, Duck. And then I got my Edge Transit. So, like, I'm making really fucking good progress on all of these. Like, this has mini frags, which I'm happy with. Says quick launch, I'm happy with. Envious Bait and Switch is goated. And then a handling masterwork. Like, I'm feeling really good about this role as well. So I don't have every god roll I want, but I'm feeling pretty good in the god roll department. How come you don't like auto-loading on Mountaintop? Because if I'm in a situation to use Mountaintop for a damage rotation, I'm just going to use Izanagi's. And I'm definitely the type of person to just, if I'm using Mountaintop, I'm just like, dunk, dunk, dunk. That's just how I do it. That's just me. I just know how I play the game, and auto-loading on Mountaintop is not really conducive to how I use Mountaintop. So it's kind of the same reason I don't really want recombination. I would keep a recombination one, but I did actually keep an auto-loading recomb one, but Supremacy better. Yeah, I really like Supremacy too. But once again, Mountaintop I'm using more for like normal play. Supremacy I would use for like a deeps thing, so that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, well, I didn't really expect that to be the entire stream, but I am pretty tired and I still have to edit 2 videos. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thanks for ranking these with me. That was a lot of fun. I'll be back. Once again, I leave for Hawaii tomorrow. I'm going to have at least 3 videos for you all prepped to watch. So even if you were here for the rankings and stuff, I'd really appreciate you giving them a view and helping me out, helping the algorithm out a little bit. That would be awesome. But I'm gonna go edit and stuff. There's a video tomorrow that I think everyone will really like. So, yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next Tuesday. We'll be streaming soon after reset, and we're gonna be doing the first Pantheon. Super excited for it. But yeah, everyone have a fantastic night. I love your faces, and I'll see you very soon. Enjoy your week, everyone. Peace out. See you guys.